You are watching another broadcast here on Flatout Racing Network. Here we are in Bristol for race number 13 on the season in the Clutch Drop Cup Series. Hello, friends. Welcome to Thunder Valley. I'm Carlos Zimmerman. Alongside of me, as always, is my good man, Sam Dyer. 300 laps tonight, Sam. It's another big shift for these drivers. You're going from the tricky triangle of Pocono to the half-mile oval of Bristol Motor Speedway. It's going to be a culture shock for a lot of these guys, especially as we saw in practice, guys slipping and sliding. Expect a lot of yellows tonight here at Bristol Motor Speedway tonight.
Yeah, like you said, 300 laps that these drivers are going to be going. It's a lot of driving that they're going to have to handle here. And really, during practice, watching the drivers, they were kind of struggling at points, just trying to find grip. This track is looking extremely loose through the center and off through the corner. Or you might have a tight car that's going to put you into the wall like we were seeing back at Dover a few weeks ago. These drivers are going to be dealing with a lot of action, but right now, only about 20 drivers showed up for today's race when we've been seeing a lot more recently. And due to the fact of how long and how short and treacherous this track has been, some drivers have decided to opt out of tonight's race.
With only 2 races between this race and the playoffs, this is going to be interesting. We'll quickly go through the starting grid as these guys roll around. Munsell and Bronson Stafford, they have row 1 for Luminary. It's another Luminary row 2 there, and 3rd and 4th, Tom Bourne, Shane Terrian. And then Dylan Stipe rounds out your top 5. Rest of the grid is going to fly by on your screen. But we are glad you are with us here on the Flatout Racing Network, race 13 of 20 on the year here in the Clutch Drop Cup Series. 20 drivers ready to take the green flag here tonight in Thunder Valley as they're going to continue to wheel it around here one more time. Thought we were going to go this time as I'm more accustomed to, but we will go around one more time. Real quick here, Sam, keys to the race tonight.
Keep yourself off the wall. Also, keep your car safe from other drivers. This is going to be, Bristol is known as the last Coliseum, as it is really just going to be a lot of drivers trying to survive, if anything. Keep yourself off the wall and keep yourself out of the cautions. It's going to be extremely hard. You're really not going to have a lot of reaction time to avoid other cars, but best of luck to just try to survive.
Pace car is going to make the hard left-hand turn. 3 stages tonight. First one here that's going to get underway will be at lap 80. Justin Munsell's on the gas, green flag in the air. 300 laps of action here at the Bristol Motor Speedway, and a good start for the Luminary crew as they started 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's the 3 of them that break away here on this first lap.
Yeah, all 4 of them going to be in line. Side-by-side action was for 5th place, but it's looking like Stipe's going to be taking that one from Duran. And then you'd have to drop all the way back as cars spinning. That's the 24 machine. Also Robert Kenny involved in others as hard contact for a lot of these cars.
That did not take long at all. David Duran, Nick King. I'm trying to look through here. Deshaun Gorham, he was involved as well.
Matthew Rodriguez ran into Gorham as well there. And really, it's that unknowingness of when a car is going to get loose, and that's exactly what happened to Duran at the front of the field, and no one really had anywhere to go. It looked like the 24 and also Nick King and the 43 were the ones that made the initial contact.
Let's go back and take a look what happened. Brings us under our first caution of the night here on lap 2 of 300. You see him here coming to the start-finish line to complete lap 1. Nick King here right behind the 24, David Duran, and yeah, it just gets into him. But the 24 started getting sideways, and then the 43 just helped him along. A couple more cars getting collected there. You see Gorham, Matthew Rodriguez also involved in that. So really a 3 to 4 car incident. Really, David Duran was the only one that got the worst bit of it, as you see there on the front end. No front bumper remaining on David Duran's car. Going to be a familiar sight here tonight at Bristol. That's why we're working our first caution of the evening.
Yeah, no fast repairs. So the damage that you're going to be having, you have to manually fix. And we're expecting a lot of these cars to expect it all night long, as Duran's going to be in pit road. You talked about the fact that these drivers have 5 sets in pit road for tires to work with. So they're going to be, periodically coming in throughout these stages to actually pick tires and take them, because this is the first time they've had enough tires that you could take a set in the middle of a stage and then also at stage break and then go to the end of the race.
A couple cars have elected here to take to the pits. Phillip Scott, Robert Kenny, Matthew Rodriguez, of course, to probably repair damage on the part of the 34 and the 48. Phillip Scott didn't see him get involved, so he's in the pits making a stop. And then, of course, David Durand going to fall multiple laps down trying to repair that damage. Might be in the pits for quite a long time as these guys are wheeling it around here on lap 5 of 300. Let's take a look at the point standings. Top 6 drivers in: Mike Tellier, Shane Terry, and Brandon King, Tom Bourne, Justin Munsell, and Bronson Stafford, all by virtues of a win. Tom Bourne just adding his name to the list. One name that's missing, though, is Garrett Powell. He has opted out of the rest of the season, so he is no longer going to be a factor. Only the other driver that had 3 wins on the season, so that opens the door now to the 6 that remain on the grid: Dylan Stipe, Phillip Scott, David Durand, Tristan Maher, Nathan Hall, and Travis Daly. That would be your playoff grid if it were to end tonight, Sam.
Yeah, and there's a lot of hungry drivers that are looking good and poised to maybe come in and knock one of those drivers out. I mean, you got to think of Evan Coleman. He's been having some really solid runs in that 51 machine, and other drivers that are outside looking in. Justin Belmonte, another very quick driver. Nick King, someone else that looks like they have a chance, but we're missing a lot of those CEM motorsports guys that had been looking very good and had pace to really be competitive with the Luminary drivers. The one Luminary driver that is not locked into the playoffs, that's going to be Robert Kenny, who was just involved in our first accident. He's back in 16th in points. He's got a long road to build up to if he wants to find himself pointing his way into the playoffs.
Another notable not here tonight, Matt Dyer, another one of those drivers trying to make a push for the playoffs. He's not here. So everyone that's on this racetrack, that's on the outside looking in, they're poised for a really big night tonight. Green flag back in the air, lap 8 going to go on to the board still. Lots of action to happen. Munsell, a really good run there through 1 and 2, up against the wall. That is where you want to be tonight. At other tracks, that's not something you normally see, because up at the top, that's where all the bumps and stuff are, but not here. You're going to want to ride around the outside as Bronson Stafford trying to follow in the tire tracks of his Luminary teammate, but he gets the wall off of 2.
Yeah, that's something we're going to be seeing a lot of, is drivers getting up and scrubbing off the wall. They want to make sure they do not clobber it and actually cause any fender damage. You can graze it and be all right through here at Bristol, as we're now on lap number 10 for these drivers. Our front 4, really not surprised where they're running right now. It's the drivers behind them that we're kind of a little bit more surprised about. I mean, Stipe and also Daly, they're running quite well. Evan Coleman is making a hard charge in that 51 machine, but a driver that's running in the top 10 that we haven't seen in the top 10 in a while, Mike Tellier, back in 10th place.
Mike Tellier, he has been on a skid, and that is putting it lightly. 3 wins earlier on in the season, a lot of those before the Luminary guys joined on. Since those Luminary guys, the majority of them joined on at Dover, it has been rough for the 3 of Mike Tellier. A lot of DNFs. He had one last week at Pocono, so he's looking for a rebound here. Looking good so far. Up in 10th, has a car in front of him, and Maher that got up into the wall. Both him and Brandon King are going to move right by the 17, and the battle will now be on for 9th between the 3 and the 89.
Yeah, Brandon King has that 1 win so far this season, trying to make it 2, and really has been a driver that's been on the up and up here at the end of this regular season. So excited to see that he is slowly marching his way up now into the top 10. Excited to see how these drivers are going to be reacting throughout this race, because we're staying green. This is the longest green flag run we've had so far, and drivers have to watch out, because in the next about 10 to 15 laps, we could be finding lap traffic in the back half field.
Battle further deep in the field. This is for 16th. Matthew Rodriguez there in the 6th. Deshaun Gorham there in the 66, getting a little close there. Despite having no bumper, Deshaun Gorham doing a good job trying to just keep pace with everyone up here that has not had as much damage. David Durand, he is still in the pits. Basically, might be out of the race at this point. We'll have to wait and see. He might be able to come back out in long laps. Good thing for him, he's going to finish 20th tonight. It's going to be a decent points night for the 24 David Durand, since a lot of those drivers did not show up like we had mentioned. Again, a Luminary top 4 right now. Munsell, Stafford, Terrian, and Bourne. All 4 of these drivers in to the playoffs with their wins. Tom Bourne, the most recent one.
Deshaun Gorham spinning it around. It looks like that 66 machine on the coming out of 4 got loose through the straightaway, going low, going a lap down.
He's into the pits and off the racing surface to the 66 there. Ray's Energy machine is going to be moving through here. Couldn't tell what the manufacturer was because he's got no front bumper. So the 66 going to wheel it around into the pits. A single side of pits tonight as the smaller field we're able to fit all 20 pit boxes on one side of the racetrack. So that's why you gotta, if you come down on the other side, you gotta wheel it around to the front. So Deshaun Gorham gonna probably fall 4 laps down. He goes 3 there. Gonna be a longer stay for the 66. Munsell still in control of the lead. It's a luminary breakaway at the top of the top 4. Dylan Stipe riding around second behind Tom Bourne right now as caution on the speedway.
That's Tristan Maher getting collected, and that's around the group that I was just about to bring up that have been battling for a while. It looks like Maher might have misjudged his entry and gets loose on the entry of turn 1. More cars had to avoid. Looked like King as well as Kenny. A little bit of contact, but Maher's engine is blown.
Tristan Maher, not what he wanted to have happen, obviously. 10th in points and only 59 points ahead of 13th place Justin Belmonte, as you're going to see it here. Oh, the car just snapped dead right. And I don't know who it was. I think it was Robert Kenny that was right around him. But that 17 Roush car just snapped to the right instantly. We'll take a second look at it, but my goodness.
Yeah, that was a very hard lick. It just looked like he felt it going loose and just overcorrected immediately. And that car, like you said, just snapped, went straight to the outside wall, blew up the engine immediately, and there was no chance of recovery. And it looked like Nick King as well as Kenny, both of them tried to evade, but getting a little bits and pieces of that contact.
Robert Kenny lost the hood because of that, and then you come back to live action, you see Maher's engine still blown in the pits. It's not a good sign. He might be our third casualty of the night here at Bristol. Like Sam said before we went green, this is the last great Coliseum, and it's about survival at a track like Bristol. So, tough break for the 17 of Tristan Maher. The good thing for him is that Nathan Hall does not usually put out great results. He's in 9th right now with everyone coming into the pits, so I might have to swallow my tongue before I say anything further. Travis Daly, he's having a good night, so I don't think it'll be enough to push him further down, but he is going to be on thin ice going into next week when we head to Fort Worth, Texas. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Few cars came into the pits, Sam.
Yeah, we had about from 11th on back coming into the pits. Like we said, we had Tristan Maher had to teleport into the pits. Deshaun Gorham had come in early and was during that green flag run that we had. He's in the pits still trying to get repairs done. David Durand is officially DNF'd and has parked it for the day, but we had Daly, Schilling, Kenny, King, Scott, King, and Rodriguez coming into the pits and expecting these drivers that came into the pits. They mainly were just trying to get repairs done, some of them going for tires, and it might be due to the fact that they feel like the tires are just dropping off so quickly. This is an open setup league, so certain drivers set up for the short run, others are set up for the long run.
About a 16-lap green flag run, and you like to see that at a track like Bristol as the pace car lights are out. And we'll go green at lap 28. It's going to give us 53 to go in stage number 1. Stage breaks at lap 80, lap 160, and then stage 3 will take you all the way to the end of this one, 300 laps tonight. As looking through here, Tristan Maher, Deshaun Gorham still in the pits repairing damage. Their night's likely going to come to an end, so just have to see how everything plays out over these next 2 weeks. Justin Munsell and Bronson Stafford ready to get us back under green. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to try and wrestle that lead away from that 98 Tahoe machine out of Luminary. Green flag back in the air. Another good jump here from Munsell. Stafford going to try and stay close. Shane Terrian going to try and throw his hat into the ring as he's going to go side by side down the back straightaway. But Stafford with the bird line here at Bristol should be able to hang on as he cuts off his teammate in Shane Terrian, as Munsell will now set his sights to move forward, but Stafford still hanging with him.
Yeah, they're still hanging strong here between these 4 drivers. Evan Coleman trying to join in and make it a 5-car battle and then you drop back to around 10th place, and you just see a hornet's nest of cars scattering around one another. Both Kings are on top of one another back in 14th place, but one mistake right now with how close everyone is could cause another carnage of wrecks.
You see Nick King there making the pass on the 27, but Carroll had to back out of the gas, and it slowed down his brother Brandon. So it checked everybody up, and Carroll's going to hang on to 13th for the moment. Near scary moment going on to the front straightaway, and now King's going to try and use the outside to get around Bob Carroll, and indeed he will. His brother will follow suit behind him. Trouble on that number 27. Not really in a good spot right now. Really slow as Matthew Rodriguez now drives by.
Yeah, we're starting to see the drivers there in the back half of the field with all the damage that they have. They're still running decent lap times due to the fact if you do not hurt your engine and you're still at full power and you just have a whole bunch of cosmetic damage, you can still run very well here at Bristol. It's all about if you can keep your engine solid, full powered, you can keep on running even without a bumper.
Evan Coleman, you see him there. We mentioned him a moment ago in the 5th spot. Mike Tellier, he has jumped up to 7th as Dylan Stipe is in that little bit of a sandwich with these guys. Tellier looking for a good run, like we mentioned. He's locked in, but would love a rebound after just the string of bad finishes over the last few weeks, stemming all the way back to what I believe was basically at Kansas was when the skid started happening. He has not been competitive, to say the least, and now he's up in 7th, hoping to keep it up there. Evan Coleman really close to the wall, but it's a good pack of cars here with Justin Belmonte looking on.
Yeah, you got Tom Bourne leading this group of line machines, and it looks like his car might have started to drop off. Remember, our top 8 have not pitted yet. Everyone else behind them have come in to get some type of tires and getting at least some repairs done for most of them, as we've seen a few cars scraping off the wall, others being involved in our 2 cautions, and so everyone's just trying to figure out this track. Bristol is a lot more known for a rhythm course. If you get off rhythm, it takes you about a lap to 3 laps to finally get back into your pace.
Dylan Stipe kind of falling through the field right now. I think he just got the wall off of turn number 4 as Justin Belmonte and the 69 of Derek Schilling are going to go right by him as he falls from where he was in 6th and now all the way back into the 9th spot, likely fighting in ill-handling race cars. We are halfway through stage 1, 40 more laps until then, as you see Derek Schilling just ahead of these guys. Won stage 1 at Pocono on a pit strategy call. And Matt, like I said, we saw a lot of strategy at Pocono with the pitting and everything. Is it going to be the same kind of thing tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we're expecting a lot of drivers here. If we have a caution at this point, I think all drivers that have not pitted already might come in, but really the drivers that are up front, they know that it's all about really track position here at Bristol. As you're seeing, everyone's running the same line. It's so difficult to make a pass here. It's all about keeping that high line, and if you can possibly make a sled job work, you're going to throw it and try to do your best, but it's looking like track position, most important thing here at Bristol, so we might be seeing a lot of these drivers up front think with the quick cautions that we've been having, stay where they're at, but a driver up front that's trying to make a pass. Shane Tarian on top of Bronson Stafford, about to make a pass for 2nd place.
He tried to get him on the back straightaway, couldn't do much about it. He'll try and set him up again, but it's not going to work. It looks like Stafford powering it out of the corners. Much better corner exit than the 83. Shane Tarian. Mike Tellier, really good jump here. He was in 7th a little bit ago. Now is in striking distance of these 2 guys. He's up to 4th.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Tellier, he's really been making a charge, showing off that he's got that late run speed, and actually is the fastest car on track is that 3 machine, a car that was running up front and now is dropping back like a rock. That's going to be Tom Bourne. He just went from 4th back to 7th in 3 laps.
Justin Belmonte and Derek Schilling making the pass. Meanwhile, up there, here is Mike Tellier, the 3 up to 3rd, now going to try and get 2nd away from Bronson Stafford, and then maybe set his sights on the leader, Justin Munsell, really close there on the exit of turn number 4, but they keep it off each other. Just some good racing between black cars, and Bronson Stafford gets the wall off of 2, and that'll help the 3 get all the way up to 2nd place. Fastest mover since the restart, the 3 of Tellier.
That's also going to enable Shane Tarian able to make that pass on Bronson, and yeah, that 61 machine, that one contact, losing him 2 positions, and that's a pretty hard lick that he had coming off of the corner. It's a little bit of an angle hit that's going to be making him lose time, but now Justin Belmonte, as well as Schilling, they're starting to make their charge forward, and we're starting to see drivers that have the much longer run starting to make their charges. Schilling as well as King and Belmonte, they're looking quick because they've got tires that they've been saving to try to make this push forward.
Top Bourne just continues sliding through this field at one point in 4th place. Now is in danger of falling nearly outside the top 10, if not for Dylan Stipe there. In that 10th spot as the Kane brothers are going to go by the 54, so move the Luminary driver back to 9th, not where he wants to be, obviously. As we move back to the front, we have reached lap traffic, Sam. Matthew Rodriguez, the tail end of the group, along with Bob Carroll, as Mike Tellier navigates past him, and now can refocus on the number 98 of Justin Munsell. Still running about 2/10 quicker is the 3.
Yeah, the 3 is coming hard, charging through the field right now, about a little bit over a second, not to be soon less than a second away from Justin Munsell, and he's going to be coming with a head of steam. But here's the thing, our leaders, yes, they passed the lap traffic of Bob Keller as well as Carroll as well as Matthew Rodriguez, but Travis Daly, who's going to be the next car, is pretty far in front of our leaders. About half a lap of head is going to be lap traffic, so it's green flag, fresh air for the 98 machine to be working with. And looking at that 27 machine in pits, looks like there was some heavy damage that he's trying to get repaired done.
Still watching here. Tellier having some moments of blinking here due to an internet connection. Hopefully he'll be okay. I think he was very close to the wall there on the front straightaway, as that cost him some time. I believe he did get the wall, Sam.
Yeah, that is not good to see. But the crazy thing is he might have gotten the wall, but at least he's slowly pulling away from Mike Tellier. I think Tellier might have recognized, hey, I'm faster right now, and might have pushed this machine a little bit too hard. And now he might be dropping off and maybe just overused and overcooked. It's going to take a while for those tires to start to cool off and maybe equal out to the rest of the field.
Looking at these Luminary guys, again, it is an open setup race, but you would think that teammates would try to bounce ideas off each other for setups, so likely a lot of them running similar setups. I've noticed how Tom Bourne, he was the first one to fall back further, and now the 61 of Bronson Stafford starting to fall off here as he's under fire from Nick King for that 6th spot. So you see the fall off happening. It hasn't really hit Shane Terrian yet, and I say that because Terrian is off the racing surface and sideways on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, it looked like he got loose out of 2 and it was just trying to save it all the way through the straightaway, dumps it into 3, and luckily did not come back up into lap traffic, but he did hit the inside pit wall. Not good for the 83 machine that's going to be trying to rebound from this, but he needs the stage to come quick and hope that he doesn't go a lap down.
He has fallen all the way back now to 13th and might lose that as well to Nathan Hall in the 28. Indeed, he will. So Shane Terrian up in 3rd at one point, now all the way back in 14th, second to last car on the lead lap. Evan Coleman up against the fence there in that Barstool Sports machine. He got the wall, it looks like, and now Terrian will be able to bounce back as well. Meanwhile, at the front, Mike Tellier still hanging in there in 2nd, but he's got some company. Here come the 12 of Justin Belmonte and the 69 of Derek Schilling.
Yeah, it's going to be 20, about to be 19 laps to go in the stage 1 for these drivers. So the opportunity to get stage points, you got to be in the top 10 to get them. And right now, looking at the drivers that are in their top 10, this is a great run right now for Schilling, for King, for both King brothers. As right now, Tellier under fire as Justin Belmonte now coming to the inside. And this is a driver that needs to get as many stage points as possible, as Belmonte is just outside the top 12 points.
Do the math here as he continues to battle Tellier for that 2nd spot. Belmonte sits 13th in points. He's 10 points behind Travis Dowd. On the racetrack right now, there is a big separation between them. So if that stays that way, Justin Belmonte is going to move up into that 12th spot, and now he'll have to go on the defensive mode as he is going to try and get as much stage points. Would love to get a stage win because right before he started this battle with Tellier, he was running a 10th quicker than the leader Munsell, and he spun into Tellier. Nick King, Justin Belmonte, and Schilling just avoided it. Disaster in the top 5.
And that's just guessing and hoping that you're clear when you're really not, in contact between the 3 and the 12. And it looked like there was a mixture of both drivers thinking that they had space to move up and down, and they did not. They both went for the same real estate collision, taking both of those drivers, and what was going to be good point stage days just went up in smoke.
Let's take a look back and look at it. Here comes the 30 to the inside. Was going to likely clear him off the corner, and
there was netcode.
Oh my goodness.
That was netcode that started that. Oh, you hate to see it when that's what starts it off, but oh man.
A lot of netcode, as a matter of fact. Didn't even look like they were touching each other at all. That netcode wasn't there. I think they would have been okay, but that is likely
straightened it out. And then coming down to that point, the netcode bounced Belmonte into the 3, and that's what caused these two to be spinning around and really costing them for both good stage 1 points and also just great cars that they were going to have.
We were just talking about them too, as that's what's put us under our third caution of the night. We were just talking about how important it was for these guys. Again, we've been nailing it down in this first fifth of this race that Tellier is good to go for the playoffs, but needs to turn it around if he wants to compete for this title. And it's just been a struggle since at least Kansas for him, and the struggle continues. They're down in the pit. Sam Munsell getting service.
Yeah, it looks like our top 4 are going to be staying out. That's going to be Derek Schilling, Brandon King, Nathan Hall, and Matthew Rodriguez. They're going to be staying out this time by, which I believe half of them have had some type of damage. Justin Munsell coming out of the pits and will be the first car into the pits. Matthew Rodriguez, he was hoping to stay out and possibly get a lap led. Not going to be able to do so, so he'll be the last car to be pulling it in to the pits, starting at the end of the line.
Only Derek Schilling, Brandon King, and Nathan Hall were the 3 that decided to stay out. Nathan Hall, the only one being that has not pitted since the drop of the original green flag. He's on lap 70 of this stint, so just hoping to muscle out some stage points, and why not for the 28? He's 11th in points, and only 53 points ahead of Justin Belmonte in the cutoff. So seeing that incident has probably lit a fire under the 28 as he's going to restart third.
This is huge for Shane Terrian in that 83 machine, as he was heavily damaged after that contact with the outside wall and the pit wall, and now is getting repairs done. Going to be 1 lap down. Should be the only car, one of the only cars 1 lap down if he can get this repair done and get back out there, but looks like he's opting to just stay in, get the repairs done, and hope multiple cautions come out, and so he can get his laps back through the Lucky Dog system.
So Derek Schilling going to restart here as the leader. Like I mentioned, he got a stage win last week at Pocono with strategy. Is the strategy going to pay off again for him? He's going to have 9 laps to try and hold off Brandon King, Nathan Hall, Justin Munsell, and Bronson Stafford for stage 1.
Justin Munsell should be able to cut through this field, but the issue is he's stuck on the high side. So if his line does not get going, Bronson Stafford on the inside is going to be the most optimal driver to get through this pack, just because he shouldn't be boxed in. But this is going to be very tricky to see 3 cars with the older tires compared to the newer tires that the other drivers are going to have.
Pace car is in 9 laps to find a stage 1 winner. Green flag in the air. It was the inside line that did not get going with Nathan Hall, so Justin Munsell is going to be off and away from everybody. For the meantime, King and Schilling get away, and it's not going to take long. Here comes the fresh tires of Justin Munsell. They're not going to allow King much. Wow, they freight trained them there on the front stretch, and now the battle is with the 69 and the 98. Not going to be much of a battle. Here comes the 98 of Munsell.
Yeah, but Schilling is still trying to hold strong, but you can just see that speed. It's through the center and exit where the fresher tires just advance past the older ones. And this is a tricky situation due to the fact that we have those 3 drivers with the older tires. Now everyone else is going to have to worry about getting through traffic. But the battle for the lead, Bronson Stafford trying to do a slide job moving that 61 machine side by side for the lead.
Couldn't do it loose there off of turn number 4. Moved the 98 back to the point. Tom Bourne going to try to use the outside to get around his teammate in the 61. It's not going to work. It's a luminary top 4 as Robert Kenny, with no front end, is up in the 4th spot with 5 to go in the stage.
Robert Kenny, who was needing as many stage points as possible. Like we said, one of the only luminary drivers that has not gotten a win and locked into the playoffs. Also, you got Dylan Stuyput in the 20 machine trying to cut his way through the older tires. of seeing Daly and also Schilling not able to cut through just yet as the 20 machine is trying his best. But Travis Daly is going to be holding strong in 6th place. Up front, they're still battling for 2nd place, Bronson Stafford and Tom Bourne.
Justin Munsell just driving away from his teammates at this point. It's going to be the battle for 2nd to determine who gets those 9 points in the stage. Looking through here, Derek Schilling might be able to hang on for a top 10, so he can get some points. Phillip Scott, he's been good at the opening parts of these races. He's in 8th. Evan Coleman is 9th. Brandon King, he is trying to hang on to 10th. Matthew Rodriguez back in 12th, now in 11th. He'll have 2 laps to try and run down the 89 and get some points, but I don't think it's going to work out as Munsell is going to come around and he will take the white flag in this stage. Lap 80 onto the board. What a drive for this number 98 of Munsell. Locked into the playoffs, but would love to have some insurance with stage wins here, and he's going to get one here. He'll take stage 1. Bronson Stafford, he'll roll out in 2nd. Caution flies for the stage. Tom Bourne 3rd. Robert Kenny 4th, and Travis Daly rounds out your top 5 with Stipe, Schilling, Scott, Coleman, and Brandon King rounding out your top 10 here on lap 81.
Yeah, huge comebacks for some of the drivers that are in our top 10. I mean, Robert Kenny as well as Daly, top drivers 4th and 5th that were caught up in earlier wrecks, but they were able to come back, as well as Phillip Scott. He was able to come back as well. I mean, those 3 drivers, massive comebacks for themselves, and even with damage on their cars, still able to get top 10 runs and those stage points.
The pace car picks up the field. Let's go ahead and talk to our stage 1 winner, the 98 of Justin Munsell. Hey, Justin, this is Carlos and Sam in the FRN booth. You got us?
Got you guys.
Pretty good drive for you. You were able to beat the strategy moves out of those guys that stayed out, and you were able to maintain the lead. I know it's been a really rocky first half of this race, but how's it been? Just running up front with everyone and with the clean air and everything, but then the lap traffic coming into factor. I know it's a lot to swallow here at Bristol.
Yeah, it's a lot better to drive this place when you have no one in front of you. So I'm trying to keep that strategy up, and as I say that, I just sped, so that's not good. But yeah, it's been a nice, easy race for me. The car's fast, so that's what's important. I feel like with this type of long race, there's going to be a huge long run at the end of the race, and as I feel like I have the car to beat.
Yeah, Justin, we saw Bronson trying to battle with you there at the end of this stage. Is it hard to try to hold someone off, or is it pretty easy just hold your line on the outside?
Yeah, I mean, you got it. Like, it's going to be all about track position with these open setups. You have to really make a really bold move going into a corner to make a pass. So I wouldn't expect it till later in the race. That's when you might see some dicey moves, but right now it's pretty easy. Just got to hold the line and not hit the wall.
Looks like you're going to be restarting. I don't know. Did you end up getting the black flag?
Yeah, that's
okay,
that's my thing.
So looks like you're going to restart 12th here. It looks like. So best of luck to you. Should be. It won't be an easy task to muscle your way through the field here, but you got a fast car. We'll see if you take stage 2, and if you do, we'll talk to you then.
All right, guys. Thank you.
You know, Carlos, I think it's better off we wait until after caution sometimes. I feel like every single time we pull a driver in, right when pit stop's going on, we affect them in some manner. As Justin Munsell, like he said, he's going to be starting in the middle of the pack, around 11th, 10th place is where he's going to be marked. It's going to be Tom Bourne, who went with fuel only, as well as Robert Kenny, as they were only going to be on about 20 lap old tires, feeling like they should try something else than what the rest of the field is and saving their tires for later on.
Tom Bourne, wouldn't he like to go back to back? We talked to him in Victory Lane last week at Pocono. He said he wasn't awfully looking forward to this race, but looking competitive right now. Still a long way to go, not even a third of the way done. Do want to report Tristan Maher, he is officially out of the race in 18th spot. He's the only other retiree that we know of. Everyone else still outside of David Durand. Everyone else is still out there on the racetrack. Tom Bourne and Robert Kenny Two luminary guys here on the front row. They got Daly and Schilling behind them. Green flag back in the air. Stage 2 underway. Robert Kenny, a really good jump on this restart, but then Tom Bourne hits the gas, and he'll drive away. The battle will be for second.
Yeah, right now Tom Bourne is going to be someone that we got to keep our eye on because he's on those older tires like Robert Kenny, and we saw Tom really brutalize his tires on his first run out there after about 30 laps. He started to drop back. Oh no, Nick Young gets, Nathan Hall gets a little bit out of shape for that 28 machine, as now going to be moving along back up front. Robert Kenny is losing ground quickly.
Kenny falls and back into fourth, almost into the clutches of his teammate Bronson Stafford. He's got Brandon King just ahead of him. Travis Daly sitting there in second, hounding the race leader Tom Bourne, going to try and possibly make a move. Phillip Scott's going to fall and lose a spot to Justin Munsell. Munsell not taking any time to try and move past these guys. He's got Dylan Stipe next. Restarted 12th. He is now going to move up into the 8th spot.
In the battle for the lead, about to get underway as Travis Daly is caught up to the 54 machine of Tom Bourne. Also, Brandon King going to be there as Bronson Stafford is looking extremely quick in 5th place. He's trying to run down our top 3.
And wouldn't Travis Daly love to pick up a win here tonight at Bristol? He's 12th in points, right there on the cutoff. And who would it benefit if he were to get a win? It would be Justin Belmonte, who's out of the race right now. In 15th place, it would move Belmonte to 12th spot on that grid. So he would love for something like that to happen, but it's not working right now as he's going to fall back to the 4th spot as Bronson Stafford is now picking him off one by one.
Yeah, right now Bronson is doing a great job. He's up now to 3rd place, going to be trying to get by King as soon as possible. And looking at what happened, it looked like Bronson had some damage.
Oh,
but he had to get repaired.
Travis Daly
around. Munsell involved.
Just saw it out of the corner of my eye as I saw the 15 get around. I think it. I don't know who got. It may have been the 69. I don't know if he just got.
If there was net code or not, but that looked like there was contact between Schilling into Daly. Got the 15 car loose, and Munsell nowhere to go. Front just T-boned that 15 machine and came to a complete stop. That is not good to see from our stage 1 winner.
So you're watching the 15 here. Derek Schilling is right behind him. He got the wall in turn 1. I don't think it was netcode. I think that 69 had just gotten into the 15 trying to make that pass. And like you said, Justin Munsell involved here. Our stage 1 winner. Hasn't something like this happened to him before? He wins a stage, gets black flagged, and then has to work his way through the field, and then he ends up getting caught up in a wreck?
I feel like that either happened last week or 2 weeks ago. It's happened before for sure. And Munsell is certainly, it seems like after he wins a stage, something happens the next stage that he is running. And hopefully we'll see if that damage isn't too bad. Like we said, we've had Robert Kenny and other drivers that have lost their front bumper, but it looks like they haven't lost their engine completely and have been able to rebound and still have a fast machine up front.
Well, now, and if this ends up putting Munsell out of contention for the win, is it safe to say that it's anyone's race? Because it didn't look like Munsell was willing to give up anything, because he had one of the quickest cars out there on the racetrack, was navigating the track well, getting around lap traffic. Is it anyone's game now?
I mean, there's still a lot of racing to go on. Like, we haven't even hit 100 laps yet into this race out of 300 laps that we're going to be running all night long. So there's still a lot of racing to be seen, but I think if Munsell has engine damage, it kind of now falls into Bronson Stafford's hands, as he was one of the drivers that was running up as well as Tom Bourne. Both those drivers don't have extreme damage, but Tom Bourne running with those much older tires than the rest of the field, still somehow up front and doing a great job with those older tires, being able to hold off King. But Bronson looks so much faster than the rest of the field. Robert Kenny, he was also being swarmed by a lot of machines, able to hold on as the cars are getting stacked up and ready to go green.
Let's take a look here. Pace car lights are still on, so let's look at this top 10. Tom Bourne in the lead. Brandon King running well in second. Got the win back at, I believe it was it Auto Club that he picked up the win? I might be thinking of a different looking track. Either way, he has a win on the year. Bronson Stafford third. Derek Schilling, good run for him so far, still hanging in there up in 4th. Robert Kenny in 5th. Dylan Stipe, he's up in 6th. Phillip Scott in 7th. Evan Coleman 8th. Nathan Hall 9th. And then Matthew Rodriguez up there in the 10th spot. Travis Daly, despite being involved in the incident, he remains on the lead lap. And then the 98 of Munsell, he's back on the racetrack. He's going to restart 13th, 1 lap down, the only car 1 lap down. So if another caution comes out, he'll be able to get back on the lead lap. I don't know how much that damage is hindering him, but we'll just have to wait and see. Tom Bourne would love to continue to drive away, but Brandon King has got some speed underneath that number 89 Chevy Camaro. And when they hit the line, lap 100 will go on the board. We'll have 61 laps left in the stage, 201 left in the race. Green flag back in the air. Here comes Tom Bourne driving away from everyone. Brandon King and Bronson Stafford, it's single file for the top 6.
Yeah, but Brandon King really had to slam on the brakes. It looked like there might have been a little bit of net code, but them trying to slow down because he ran almost straight through the 54 machine, which bogged all his momentum down. Now bringing in Bronson Stafford side by side for the lead for a second here as King ducking it low, trying to do a slide job, but it looks like he just ducked a little bit too late.
Stafford's going to get a really good run there off of turn number 4, and it's going to make it a battle for second. That outside line so fast here. King loose off of 2, move to 61 up to second. Luminary 1-2 right now. Derek Schilling now will set his sights on Brandon King for the 3rd spot, but it looks like the 89 will settle in. Battle for the lead.
Yeah, there was a lot of carnage at the start of the restart where there wasn't a caution thrown as Nathan Hall, Matthew Rodriguez, and others were involved in a wreck at the restart, and they're about to be the 4 cars that we catch up here for our leaders probably in the next 10 laps or so. With as much damage as they have, they are down on power and about to be ran down.
Oh, Nathan Hall nearly got up into the 6 of Matthew Rodriguez, but they keep it off each other. Shane Terrian was the other car that was involved in that mess, so he is all the way back in 10th right now with the damage he has. Battle is starting for second as you see Nathan Hall come off the racetrack. The 89 of Brandon King trying to get back around the 54 of Bourne.
Yeah, Bourne still, I don't know how he's been holding off King as well as he has. King just looks like he has such a better launch off the corner, but it's on the entry that he's losing all the time because he's got so much more speed to carry. Also, you got Schilling in waiting in the wings, and they drop back to 5th place. You've got Evan Coleman that just cut through all this madness, as well as our stage 1 winner, Munsell. He's a lap down, but still cutting through the course and through this traffic. Then you got Travis Daly, who was involved in that last accident, and then Stipe and Robert Kenny battling back in 8th place.
You think Munsell's trying to get his lap back the old-fashioned way. I don't know if he'll be able to do it, but if he stayed green all the way to the stage, he very well might be able to get his lap back by trying to get around Bronson Stafford. As Stafford is closing in here on lap traffic. It is the 51 of oh, sorry, I'm looking at
that's Matthew Rodriguez in front of our leader at the moment, and that 6 machine extremely beat up after being involved with that restart accident. We might have time to look back once we are green for a little bit longer, but there's so much racing action around us as that battle for second place still looming on.
As we watch the 61 up in front, yeah, let's jump back and let's see what happened up there at the restart of this thing. Big pileup with Matthew Rodriguez, Shane Terrian, and others there at the back end of the field. Nathan Hall was the other car, as, yep, there it was right there, just went right by it. As I'm going to try and get it up to it here. But, man, surprised they didn't throw the caution for this from based on what I'm seeing here. Here is the 6. Travis Daly running up on him here. And, yeah, the 6 loses it, pinwheels it into the wall. There's Mike Tellier getting involved in more stuff. Shane Terrian wasn't really involved. He just had to slow down for it.
Yeah, the damage that he had was from earlier incident that he had during stage 1, so able to come back and still running in 10th place is Shane Terrian as the battle is still going on for second place. Tom Bourne still holding strong, and more cars are now gaining up and joining this battle for second place, while Bronson Stafford, he's just pulling away. All he needs to worry about is lap traffic that's in front of him, and now he's got himself Mike Tellier in the 3 machine.
Yeah, Bronson Stafford, he's checked out of the hotel basically and said, bye guys, I'll see you later. As Tom Bourne is up in second, Brandon King, he is third, as everyone has really held service so far, as Derek Schilling, he's remaining in fourth. Evan Coleman's in 5th. The 98, you see there's a lap down, so he really is trying to pick his way through and going to try and be in a good spot to get back onto the lead lap as... for the moment, if a caution were to come out, he wouldn't get back on the lead lap because Matthew Rodriguez just went down a lap to our leader, Tom Bourne. Bronson Stafford.
Yeah, and Tom Bourne's going to be the next car to try to pass this 6 machine.
Oh, spinner! Turn 2, Dylan Stipe!
And Stipe, who was having such a good run. Robert Kenny also involved in this one. And it looked like it might have been another contact with a 15. And yeah, Robert Kenny had nowhere to go. Somehow Nick King had space to cut through the carnage. But it looked like it was Stipe just running straight through the 15 machine of Daly and carnage between those drivers. Robert Kenny, kind of an innocent bystander, had nowhere to go.
Sorry to cut you off. I just saw the 20 on the back end of the screen just spinning around, and indeed, it was around the 15 of Travis Daly. He'll get into him here, actually. So Stipe made the initial contact with the 15, so I don't know if you can really blame the 15 of Daly, as he was already the one that was getting sideways, and it was just a matter of running into each other.
I mean, there was some net code. There wasn't the initial contact that it looked like there was. That was a little bit of net code that caused the 20 to kind of hit the 15 to get him sideways, and then the initial then the contact after that then got the 20 sideways, and then Kenny had nowhere to go. Yeah, no, that caution coming at a pretty optimal time for a lot of these drivers. Halfway through this stage, allowing them to get the repairs that they need, get new tires, and get back out there and race to the end.
Riding on board there with the 34, Robert Kenny out of Luminary Racing. Not really much he could have done. And that's what's got us under our 6th caution of the night here at Bristol. And, you know, despite it, we're not quite to halfway yet. And it's only been 6 cautions, and one of those was for a stage break. I'm impressed that they haven't really wrecked it up as much as I thought it would.
Yeah, I mean, that last green flag run was pretty impressive to see. Yeah, there should have been a yellow thrown for that restart accident that there was, but due to the fact that the cars got so straightened out so quickly, that's why the yellow wasn't thrown. But yeah, it's shocking to see where these drivers are running at the moment. Bronson Stafford, Brandon King, as well as Evan Coleman going to be staying out your top 3. It's going to be, I believe, Tom Bourne going to be starting in 4th position with the freshest of tires and a lot of hungry machines behind them getting ready to go. Deshaun Gorham has officially parked it for the day. There are a lot of cars still in pit road trying to get repairs done, as it looks like Bob Carroll going to be in pit road still trying to get repairs done for that 27 machine, as well as Nathan Hall getting repairs done, and Matthew Rodriguez finally pulling it into the pits for that 6, trying to get the repairs done and possibly get out there to salvage some type of points.
Dylan Stipe and Shane Terrian, they're back into the pits as well. The top 8 is this: Bronson Stafford, Brandon King, and Evan Coleman. They did not pit under this yellow. Tom Bourne, he's 4th. Derek Schilling 5th. Robert Kenny is 6th. Travis Daly 7th. And then Phillip Scott is 8th, with Stipe and Terrian in the pits right now, 9th and 10th. Matthew Rodriguez, he's going to be the beneficiary of the lucky dog here. And it's going to hurt Justin Munsell, as he's got to wait another lap to try and get that lucky dog spot and get back on the lead lap as the pace car lights are out and will go green at lap 123 of 300. It's about 58, or sorry, did the math wrong there. About 38 laps left here in stage number 2.
Yeah, and that's a lot of time for these drivers. We've seen just 16-lap green flag runs seem like it was going on forever, and pace cars pulling off. Bronson Stafford leads the way, gets a great start, but also King did, staying on the outside quarter panel. Could be close enough to try to make a move here, but keep your eyes out on that 54 machine as car goes around. That driver of Evan Coleman gets out of shape and goes to the apron.
He gets out of the way of everybody. He'll try to find a safe spot to bring it back out onto the racetrack, and he finds it there out of turn number 4.
Oh, Schilling gets a little out of shape, somehow able to save that 69 machine.
Oh, he's still sideways. Tellier's going to help him. Can he still save it? Wow. What a save out of the 69 of Derek Schilling.
Yeah, Schilling coming right back onto the track. Like you said, he was still a little bit sideways, and Tellier had nowhere to go with that 3 machine. But up front, it's going to be Tom Bourne setting up a pass here on his teammate, Bronson Stafford. Also, Robert Kenny side by side with King, about to put himself in 3rd place.
as Kenny, he's going to clear the 89 through into 3. Here comes the battle again. Tom Bourne going to try and clear his teammate off the corner. Not going to be able to do it. He'll try it again here in 1 and 2, but Stafford just so good on that outside. Still can't complete the slide job of the 54 machine there as the teammates continue to battle. This time, he will complete the pass. Stafford maybe trying a crossover move here. He'll stay packed behind his teammate.
Possibly trying to do a crossover move, not able to, not going to be bringing in that 34 machine. Also Travis Daly, who we've seen being spun around, kind of like a pinball machine all day long. The 15 up to 4th place, looking quick after getting repairs and also new tires put on that machine. Other battles that are going on track that are side by side. The battle for 7th place, Schilling just trying to do his best to hold off as Shane Terrian. He's able to get by Robert Kenny and trying to run down and possibly make a pass here for 8th place.
Gets around Matthew Rodriguez there for the 9th spot. Matthew Rodriguez doing a good job hanging around in Temp. He's had some damage. He's got no rear end, to say the least. So he is just still hanging in there, trying to log laps and just get a good run tonight. I don't think he would be playoff eligible with a win, I believe, but, you know, not really in a spot to do that right now as Bronson Stafford is cascading through the field. He is back to 3rd for a moment, but Daly got loose there through the corners, so Daly is going to continue this battle here, and Daly is going to clear the 61 here. It's the fresher tires, Sam, that are coming into play right now.
Yeah, 30-lap fresher tires is a massive thing to be seen here at Bristol. I mean, even having 15-lap fresher tires, you're going to be running a lot faster than the rest of the cars that you're around. And it allows you just to, like we've been seeing, carry that momentum through the center of the corner and off as the drivers continue on to battling on. Robert Kenny, he's running about a 10th faster than Tom Bourne at the moment. We'll see if this 34 machine can run down the 54, because this would be massive for Robert Kenny, who's had a solid run points-wise at the end of Stage 1, trying to do it once again as Nathan Hall has gotten back on track and around our leaders.
Like we said, the only quote-unquote full-time Luminary driver that has not won a race this season to get into the playoffs. Everyone else has, as I'm trying to look through the field here. Yeah, that's right. Robert Kenny, the only one of Luminary to not win. He would love a win here tonight at Bristol. I wanted to mention one thing, though, for Bronson Stafford and Brandon King and anyone else who is not pit. They can make it to the end of this stage on what they have right now. The pit window, just about 77 to 80 laps for fuel. So I believe that's correct. And Bronson Stafford, he's right on the edge of that window. So we'll have to see if he decides to duck it in before the stage break. But he has fallen all the way back to 5th now because Phillip Scott got around him, but then got into the 28 and Nathan Hall in turn 2.
Yeah, and Hall got into the wall a little bit, almost came down into Bronson Stafford. So you're really not safe, especially with the fact of how small this track is. If flat traffic starts to get mingled with the lead lap cars, you're really not safe anywhere that you are. One driver makes a mistake, doesn't matter if you're a lead lap or a lap machine, you could be costing someone's day. As now the Hornet's Nest to back around 8th place, you've got lap machines and lead lap machines scattered between one another.
We're closing in on halfway of the full race. It will put us at lap 160 laps to go here tonight. Dylan Stipe, he is now going to get around Bronson Stafford. Stafford nearly got the wall there, and Stipe's going to get a little loose, but he'll muscle it through the corner and will complete the pass. Nope, not quite. Still battling here into 3.
Yeah, that's just the power of the outside, getting the momentum on the straightaways, but Stipe able to get the pass made, but then gets loose out of 4 and opening up once again as they continue to battle back and forth between the 61 and the 20. And it's just because when you're on the inside, you have to crank the wheel so much more than the driver on the outside can get you a little bit loose, like we've been seeing Stipe get. But it's the momentum on the outside that keeps Bronson Stafford here.
Stipe can just nail it down here through these corners and not get as loose, he'd be able to complete the pass, as it's going to allow Derek Schilling to just try and close in on this battle as Stipe off the corner. I think he finally got him as he'll roll through 1 and 2 here and maintain now up to the 5th spot. Tom Bourne just driving away now, but he's caught the lap traffic, Sam. 4 cars just in front of him. Brandon King, Shane Terrian, and Nick King way laps down, as well as he's going to get the 2-for-1 special, try to get around his teammate and the 89 of Brandon King.
And he certainly is trying. Tom Bourne able to get through traffic, and also is going to allow now Shane Terrian to follow suit, as Terrian was stuck behind Belmonte and King for so long that he finally, with Bourne coming, the other drivers recognized, hey, we got to get out of the way, let the leader go. And once again, Bourne stuck behind a wall of drivers and might think about cutting it, and he's thinking about going 3 wide, thinks otherwise, and I think that's a very smart move. Try to be patient with the lap traffic and hope that they don't make any mistakes.
Yeah, the key is patience here at a track like Bristol Motor Speedway. The same thing applies to all the other short tracks. You have Martinsville, Richmond, and of those shorter tracks, we only have one remaining, and that is Richmond in 2 weeks, the first race of the new year, 2021. And that'll be an interesting race to see, and that being the final regular season race before we get into the 5-race playoff, as Tom Bourne's going to come around and put lap 150 on the board halfway through here in Bristol. If you're just joining us here on the Flatout Racing Network, I'm Carlos Zimmerman. Alongside of me, as always, is Sam Dyer here. Race number 13 on the year in the Clutch Drop Cup Series here on FRN. Tom Bourne doing well right now in the lead. A little bit of a race recap. We have 3 cars out of the race. Tristan Maher, Deshaun Gorham, and David Duran, all due to incidents earlier on in the race. Bob Carroll mostly out of the race now, as he's been in the pits for a matter of the last half hour. Multiple cars now off the lead lap. We're down to 7 as Tom Bourne is picking them off one by one here as we're closing into the end of the stage. We got 9 laps to go.
Yeah, and Tom's catching up to 6th and 7th place as they've been battling back and forth between Derek Schilling and Bronson Stafford, as they've also been having a lot of lap traffic around them. Justin Munsell, our Stage 1 winner, right now 1 lap down, was looking like he was going to be the lucky dog driver, but because Tom's been catching up to so many drivers that have been on the lead lap and putting them a lap down, Munsell is stuck in 11th with about 3-4 drivers ahead of him that are 1 lap down. It might be more, which might cause these drivers to have to use a wave around and be stuck right where they're at again.
When looking at the pit cycle, Munsell is off sequence with those couple lap cars in front of him, Brandon King and Evan Coleman. So you would think they're going to have to come down in pit. So the only one he'd have to contend with is Shane Terrian. So I think that wave around is going to come into play there for the 98 and even the 83 of Terrian. As here's Tom. He is still trying to run up on lap traffic. He's got the 30 of Belmonte just ahead of him, and then a mess of others as well, but he is sitting pretty right now to take stage 2. Just a dominant performance for Luminary today. Munsell getting stage 1. Tom Bourne poised to get stage 2. Robert Kenny's going to be right behind him for 2nd place as well.
Yeah, we've got ourselves 4 laps to go before this stage is over, and Tom's catching up to some heated battles going on. Bronson Stafford was just put into the wall by Derek Schilling, who was trying his best to make a clean pass on the 61, kind of drifted up on him about 3 laps ago and put the 61 machine into the wall. They're still running close, and we're running closer and closer to the end of the stage.
2.5 laps to go. Justin Munsell trying to stay 1 lap down because a wave around then wouldn't really benefit him here. If it would only put him 1 lap down, because the leader Tom Bourne is right there. He'll have to contend with the 28 of Nathan Hall. It's going to be quite a battle here as Bourne is coming. White flag's going to fly in the stage. 1 lap to go. Lap 160 will go up. Munsell trying to hang on here. Bronson Stafford, he's trying to hang on too, so he doesn't have to think about having to worry about a lucky dog to get back on the lead lap. And it looks like Bourne's going to stay content to ride behind his teammates. Tom Bourne takes stage number 2 here tonight at Bristol. Robert Kenny gets 2nd. Phillip Scott gets 3rd. Travis Daly 4th. Dylan Stipe rebounds to 5th. And then it's Derek Schilling, Bronson Stafford, Shane Terrian, Brandon King, Evan Coleman, the rest of your top 10.
Yeah, I mean, again, the end of this stage, Tom Bourne, great job for himself, and Robert Kenny, that both were looking for solid days. But Phillip Scott involved in an incident earlier, just like Robert Kenny was, as well as Travis Daly. Those drivers have been involved in so many wrecks, and also Stipe. All of those drivers able to rebound, come back, and still have solid runs at the end of this stage due to the fact that they came into the pits, got the fresher tires, and able to run down and stay up front compared to the rest of the field.
Tom Bourne, really good run. He, like we said earlier on, won last week at Pocono, if you're not quite familiar with the series. And man, wouldn't he love to go back-to-back? I know he's already locked in, but it would excuse me, it would really benefit him playoff points-wise. But, you know, you can only speculate up here in the broadcast booth, so why don't we just talk to him? Here's the Stage 2 winner, Tom Bourne. Hey, Tom, this is Carlos and Sam in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
I'm going to try and let you focus here as you roll through pit road here. We kind of messed up your buddy Justin Munsell when we were talking to him. He was rolling through pits and he ended up speeding. So I'll let you get close to your pit box before we'll let you answer. But man, what a run for you here in stage number 2. It was really a dominant performance. No one really around you other than the lap traffic. With these final 130 laps, you told me at Pocono that in Victory Lane that you weren't really looking forward to this race, but it's looking it's going to play out in your favor.
You know what? It all basically came down to different tire strategies. Some guys ended up taking tires on before that caution, the most recent one before this one, and you know, it was. Honestly, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank at the moment. It basically just came down to different tire strategies. Like I said, I saw them do it right after the stage, and I didn't because I pit, 5 laps prior, and I was able to hang on. And I'm like, you know what, this is going to work, and yeah, obviously it did.
Yeah, Tom, you and your teammates have been running probably the fastest all night long, and no one else has really been close enough to stay with you. Due to the fact that we've been seeing, you put a lot of your teammates behind you, they're going to deal with lap traffic like Shane, as well as Bronson. Do you feel like you've got a good run here if we stay green to the end to hold off the rest of the field?
Honestly, we'll see what the different strategies bring. I know we're going to restart with about, I want to say 132 to go, so it's definitely a one-stop race from here on out. It just matters when everybody pits. I mean, tires are, as you saw in the last stage, tires do mean something. Is it going to be a, big enough tire difference in the final stage like it was in stage 2? Probably not. But it's definitely going to mean something, and whoever can really keep it going. But yeah, I think there's only like 9 cars on the lead lap, so if it stays green, I got a top 10, so I'm not really too concerned. I'm locked in.
Well, with 134 laps to go in this race, Tom, back to back, is it in the cards?
I'm gonna try. I mean, if the cards fall in my direction, I'm gonna take them all, but we'll see what happens.
Alrighty, best of luck to you. We'll see if we'll see you in Victory Lane.
Thanks, guys.
Well, here we go, Sam. 134 laps to the end of this thing. It's gonna be wild.
It's certainly going to be crazy. Pit road, it was busy that last time by. Green flag out in the air. Travis Daly, who just went with fuel on this run, looks like he's going to be the car that's going to be dropping back quite quickly. Bronson Stafford is going to be dealing with a lot as Daly almost came down into Bourne. And once again, his stage winner almost caught up in a wreck. 3 wide as Daly gets up into the wall. And here comes Bronson Stafford and others.
Phillip Scott nearly took the front bumper off of Derek Schilling there to try and fit it where he didn't. Daly gets the wall. Stafford will stick it to the inside here. 1, 2, 3 for Luminary. Phillip Scott going to try and hang on, though, for that 3rd spot.
Yeah, Daly is struggling. He just went from the lead all the way back to 8th place, and it's not even because he's on older tires. He just put himself in the wall so many times that now he's just struggling to find any type of grip as he's still stuck on the outside. Tom Bourne continuing to run away. Bronson Stafford has made the passes up to 2nd place. Robert Kenny in 3rd. Phillip Scott trying to do his best, and Schilling following as well.
I'm going to put a blanket under the top 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and maybe even 6th place. Shane Terrian back there trying to get close there. Justin Munsell still trying to show some speed here. He's going to go around the outside of the 69 of Derek Schilling. Again, Munsell, he's the first car 1 lap down.
Into the wall.
He would love a caution to try and get back onto the lead lap and be competitive. Nathan Hall ducks into the pits. Looks like he'll get out of the way of everyone. Phillip Scott moves up to the 3rd spot, pushing Kenny back to 4th.
Yeah, Kenny's trying to do the best that he can right now, but with that front end damage that he's gotten throughout the race, it's really struggling. Schilling almost drifts up into Munsell and now giving space to Shane Terrian to have a chance here to put himself back into the top 5. As Munsell on the high side, yes, he's brushed the wall during this part of the race. He's done a great job to try to rebound. And like we said during the 2nd stage, trying to unlap himself the hard way is that 98 machine.
Schilling going to try and go around the the outside of Robert Kenny here, as Kenny is starting to fall through the field here. Move the 69 back up into the 4th spot. Good run for him. The 69 is Derek Schilling. Phillip Scott, give a call to him too. He is up in 3rd now and having a great afternoon. Look at him in the points. He's looking pretty good. He's 8th with about a 73-point cushion over 13th place. So a run here tonight, with the troubles that everyone has been having behind him, it is going to benefit him big time. Change for the lead. Stafford to the point.
Yeah, it looked like Tom might have brushed the wall there, giving space for the 61 to make this pass. And Bronson Stafford, we saw being quick and was off sequence compared to what Tom Bourne was on, allowing the 54 car to just drop back into 2nd place. And that just follows suit as Munsell coming with a head of steam, trying to unlap himself just in case the caution comes out. As side-by-side action back for 4th place, Terrian and Schilling continue to battle back and forth. But Carlos, a factor we haven't talked about all race long, just because we're under the lights doesn't mean the course is going to stay cool. The track temp when we started this race off was 84 degrees. It's gone up 2 degrees, means it's going to be a little bit slicker for these drivers.
It's always going to be slick at a track like this. There's not a lot of asphalt to try and cool off, and you think it would be easier to cool off, but when you got these cars driving over it in upwards of 130 miles an hour, there's no chance for it to cool off, especially when you're under the lights. Bronson Stafford puts Travis Daly a lap down. That's not going to benefit Justin Munsell. Munsell is right there, though. He's riding behind his teammate Tom Bourne right now. You're about to see here the battle, and Daly got into Bourne. Bourne off the racing surface. He'll maintain 2nd for now. Oh, near disaster at the front.
The pattern continues. You win the stage. Bad luck follows as Munsell was hit with bad luck, and now Bourne was with the driver of Daly, who only went for fuel only on that last time that we had a caution, and it has hurt him greatly. Went from the lead, now a lap down, and now involving other drivers.
He's fallen all the way back to the 10th spot. He can fall as far back as 11th. Not the night he has wanted now with that strategy move. And Tom Bourne was still kind of close to Bronson Stafford when that happened, and now it has opened it up to 2 seconds now between the 61 and the 54.
Yeah, and we're starting to see that also hurt Justin Munsell, that was about to be in striking distance to try to unlap himself, and now it's going to be hurting about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds back from Bronson Stafford to try to unlap himself. But really, looking at the field, we just had a major dropout of cars that were in pit road trying to get damage repaired. We had Nick King, Nathan Hall, as well as Justin Belmonte, all just DNFing in a moment.
Nathan Hall, Nick King, and Justin Belmonte, as you said, they are now all out of the race. And who's this going to benefit? It's going to benefit the 3 of Mike Tellier, as Bob Carroll now also drops out of this race, officially out of the race in 17th. Tellier just needs to run at least 10 more laps, and he'll finish 13th on the night here. So a lost night earlier on in this one might not be awfully lost after all, as he'll end up 13th. Still a decent point stay for the 3.
Battle going on for 5th place as you've got Robert Kenny, also Schilling, and also Stipe on top of one another, trying to be the first car on the lead lap as they're continuing to battle back and forth, kind of blocking up and not allowing of that 51 machine of Coleman to try to make a pass. Is there just a wall between Stipe and Schilling?
Watching Bourne here as Phillip Scott is under fire now. The battle for 3rd. Shane Terrian going to likely take it away from the 8, and he will with ease. Another car that's a lap down, trying to work his way through. It's the 89 of Brandon King as he's dealing with the lap machine of Mike Tellier as well. You know, Mike Tellier's got no front end. He's Richard Pettying it basically around this racetrack right now, and he just made the pass on the kind of faster 89 of King. So Tellier, despite being 15th and millions of laps down, it seems, he's still showing some good speed.
Yeah, he's got a couple of lap pressure tires in the rest of the field after coming back out onto the track, and right now Mike Tellier is going to be about only... Actually, he is the fastest car on track after that last lap.
15.493. Stafford ran a 15.499, so he's running the pace of the leaders. So you think about it, if he didn't have that damage, he definitely was going to be competing with these luminary guys at the front. Derek Schilling is cascading through the field now as he was up in 5th and has fallen all the way back to 7th.
Yeah, and it's just the wall has just been so brutal for a lot of these cars. It's up in it once again. But I will say this, there are certain aspects of the wall here at Bristol. If you hit it right, it's kind of like a wall riding help for these drivers, where if you hit off the wall, you pancake it with a parallel hit, it actually can launch you down through the straightaways, carrying more speed than you normally would just trying to cruise through these corners. So, you know, sometimes when you're hitting the wall, it gives you a slight advantage, as Daly trying to cut through these drivers as he just came to the pits and got fresher ones.
As we close in on lap 200, almost to the end of this thing, 2/3 of the way through. You're not going to miss a thing. We're going to go to the FRN race break. We'll be back in just a moment as we go side by side. You saw it there on the side-by-side crash between the 69 of Derek Schilling and the 20 of Dylan Stipe. Stipe stuck on the entrance to 3.
Yeah, he has to just wait until there's space for him to come down, as contact, very similarly like what we saw from Belmonte and Tellier earlier on, but I think there actually was contact between these drivers this time.
You saw it happen, but let's go ahead and look back. 8th caution of the night here. This has been stewing for about 5-6 laps between these two. Evan Coleman's just the innocent bystander watching this thing happen in front of him. As you see, Schilling's got to the wall, and yeah, real contact there. Boom, up into the 20 of Dylan Stipe. And Stipe is, the lucky thing for him is the worst he's going to finish tonight is more than likely 12th, so it's going to be a decent points night to maintain that 7th spot, but it has not been an easy night, to say the least, for the 20.
No, and luckily he only went 1 lap down, which is going to allow him to at least stay in competition with other drivers and possibly put himself back on the lead lap. The driver that this helps the most is Justin Munsell. After waiting all of stage 2, he has finally figured out how to get himself back onto the lead lap and will be first car on the lead lap, back in 7th place for that 98 machine.
So you see them, they're going to head into the pits here. We're inside 100 laps to go. Could be the money stop here for these guys. Well, it's actually not going to be the money stop. They're pitting here at lap 203. I don't know if that's well enough to get them to the finish. It doesn't look like it will be, because no, they're going to go tires here on this stop here. So let's see how everyone comes out of the pits. 4 tire stops.
Yeah, I mean, these drivers, it's at this point, if there's a caution every 30 laps or so, most likely everyone's going to be taking a set of tires at that point. Also because the field's so small, there's only 7 drivers on the lead lap, so you'll still be staying up front. Even if you come into the pits, you'll still have that track position that you were looking for, not comparatively to when we were in stage 1 when cautions were coming out, when we only saw the back half of the field coming in.
So Munsell will come in and pit with the lap machines. He'll be back on the lead lap. I mean, interesting restart here. Phillip Scott is going to be 2nd. Robert Kenny will be 3rd. Tom Bourne's going to be relegated back to 4th. Shane Terry in 5th. Derek Schilling 6th. And then, of course, Munsell will be 7th here on this restart as lap cars are getting their service. You know, we kind of expected this. You know, a lot of cars to be involved in incidents. I think it's safe to say everyone on the racetrack has some sort of damage, whether it be cosmetic or detrimental to their machine, but they're all hanging in there. 13 still out there of the 20 that took the green flag.
Yeah, and, you know, there was something we were expecting coming into this race was, I mean, I threw it out as kind of a softball number of maybe we hope to go green for maybe 20 laps to 25 at the most. We've had a few pretty long green flag runs here this race that have allowed us to see what the drivers and how they're going to evolve with the tire differences. And it's been awesome to see this racing, and not as much cautions as I thought we were going to have, but the carnage it was exactly what we expected to see.
Pace car lights are out. We'll go green. Lap 206. 95 laps to go. Bronson Stafford, Phillip Scott, Robert Kenny, Tom Bourne, Shane Terrian, Derek Schilling, and Justin Munsell. They're going to be the 7 who, barring a slew of cautions, are going to be the ones to decide the victory tonight. Stafford's on the gas. Green flag in the air. 95 to go here tonight in Bristol. Stafford gets away. Battle for second between Kenny and Scott.
Yeah, now also you got Tom Bourne and Shane Terrian. And Terrian, we haven't really talked about that much. And King now going to just send it on the outside. And right now, King is in that must-go scenario because he's trying to get up front and unlap himself the hard way. As he gets into the wall, Munsell able to hold strong as all 5 of these machines are right on top of one another.
It's a hornet's nest back here. A bunch of luminary drivers and then Brandon King, 4 of them to be exact. The 54, the 83, the 98, and the 34, and it's all for position outside of the 89. The 89's going to stick it 3 wide for a moment. He pushes Tom, I believe that's Munsell further back into the 6th spot. King trying to be aggressive here around the lead lap cars.
Yeah, Munsell was just too far low, and he actually got himself loose. Somehow saved it, didn't overcorrect and crash and take out all the other drivers. Now Munsell's going to send it right back into the corner with 8 right now King is trying his best to stay the first car 1 lap down just in case the caution comes out. But he needs to make sure he's not the car involved in that accident if he still wants to get that lucky dog position.
It's Robert Kenny, you see him there sitting there in 4th. Really the case of which of these things just doesn't belong is in this top 5. It's Phillip Scott up in the 2nd spot. He has had an interesting season. He's been great in the first half of these races, but then something goes wrong in the second half of the race. So far, he's been looking pretty good. He is in 2nd and a 2.5 seconds off of the race leader Stafford.
Yeah, if anything, today, Phillip Scott reversed that in a fashion, was involved with a lot of wrecks in the first half, and it's been slowly and just marching his way forward and has been around the top 5 most of stage 2, and now running in 2nd, and really one of the faster cars out here, running very similarly. That last lap ran faster than our leader and trying to run down Bronson Stafford, but Stafford looks like he's a lot more consistent than the 8 machine.
Stafford still keeping it around a 1.5 seconds. It's also a 1.5 seconds basically between the 8 and the 54 of Tom Bourne. 87 laps to go. Still a lot of race that it's going to happen. 7 cars on the lead lap. Justin Munsell, like Sam said under the caution, he is really happy to get back on the lead lap, but not really moving forward as we kind of expected him to do, as he's still sitting in the 5th spot.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why he's not moving up that much is because he's been involved in wrecks. He's got that damage, as well as Terrian and Bourne. They've got more so damage than what we've seen Stafford have, and that's why Stafford's been able to pull away as much as he has from the rest of the field. And also for Scott, yes, they were involved in wrecks, but they've been able to really make their charges forward and doing a decent job at the moment for themselves.
Looking through the rest of the field, Brandon King, it's the first car 1 lap down. You see him there. Evan Coleman, he just went 2 laps down to Bronson Stafford. He's 9th. Travis Daly, 10th. Matthew Rodriguez still hanging in there. He's in 11th. Dylan Stipe is still in the pits getting service, as you see. With doing the math here, actually, the worst he's going to finish is 13th, because if he doesn't return to the racetrack soon, Mike Tellier's just going to drive by him by just logging laps, as he's 28 laps behind Dylan Stipe. As there's your leader, Stafford, now owning a 2.5 second lead over Phillip Scott.
Yeah, Phillip Scott, I think right now with a lot of these drivers, they're thinking, hey, let's try to get through this race without another caution, and they're hoping that they can make it green to the end. The question is, how well are we going to be seeing our leaders get by some of this lap traffic? As we've been seeing Matthew Rodriguez as well as Travis Daly, they've been having issues here of late of just trying to keep themselves off the wall, and Rodriguez has shown that his machine gets extremely loose at times. Evan Coleman, he's dropping through our field of lead lap machines and has gotten through pretty cleanly. So she has a question of how well can they get through. Phillip Scott, though, he's got issues for the 8 machine because Bourne, Terrian, as well as Munsell has caught up to him.
It's only a matter of time before they get around him. They're running much faster than the 8 of Phillip Scott, 2/10 faster to be exact between all of the luminary guys right there. So they'll pass him momentarily. In regards to the leader, this time by a little slower, about a tenth slower than the leader, Bronson Stafford.
Yeah, Bronson trying to get his second win, actually his second win of the season. I was looking at stage wins as Terrian gets up into the wall and going to get given that spot to Munsell.
Trouble for the 83 of Terrian. He's going to slide way back. He's off the racing surface right now, and he's going to bring it into the pits. Oh, the night has just gotten worse for the 83. Lucky for him, he's into the chase, the playoffs. So he doesn't really have to worry about much, but now that's going to put 6 cars only on the lead lap as he's going to park it in an empty stall, and I think he might call it a night.
Yeah, I mean, was looking for a solid day, but there's just, once you get into the wall so many times, as Bronson Stafford, I think he got through the scariest part of our lap traffic so far of getting past Daly and Rodriguez. He's now going to be just having clean race track for a while now. The next car is going to be setting his sights on would be Evan Coleman, who's about a half a track away from the 61. But yeah, Shane Terrian, I think that's it for his day. He's going to come and try to get repairs done, but I would imagine that he's just saying, hey, I did what I needed to do, ran well, showed that he got pace, but not needed for him to finish out this race.
Battle on for second. It's a 3-horse battle. Scott, I think, just got the wall, but it benefited him, to say the least. Tom Bourne hanging in there on the inside, going to try and clear him here through 3 and 4. Still not going to work. Battle continuing between them, and now Bourne will clear him. Now it'll become a battle for third as Munsell's going to clear the 8 of Scott.
Yeah, Munsell's going to clear, and now they're going to be trying to figure out how to get through, and it looks like the engine actually blew for Shane Terrian after that contact. And it looks like it's, oh no, Munsell contact with Daly as Daly gets in the way, and the 98 machine had nowhere to go. Contact there for those drivers.
The struggling just continues with Munsell when it comes to dealing with slower traffic as they're running up here on the 3 of Mike Tellier. They'll get around him with apparent ease, but the 98 running into the back of the 15 of Daly. Daly just trying to log laps at this point, poised for a top 10 now because of Terrian falling out of the race. That also allowed Matthew Rodriguez to move into the top 10 as well. So let's see how this rest of this race plays out as Tom Bourne goes around the outside of Matthew Rodriguez to get around him and put him further behind. And I'm trying to look at the times here when they come around here. Let's see how fast they are in comparison to the leader. This time by Tom Bourne, a little quicker than Stafford. Same thing with Munsell.
Yeah, I think if we have a caution come out and reset our field, it would give a great opportunity for Bourne and also Munsell to try to challenge back at Stafford. But right now, that last lap, Bourne, it was 2/10 faster than Stafford, and I think at this point, Stafford's just thinking about hitting his marks. He doesn't have a lot of lap traffic to deal with now. He's got past another wave of machines very cleanly and has over 4-second gap over Tom Bourne. Very comfortable lead so far with 6 drivers left on the lead lap. The next driver that Bronson is going to be trying to put a lap down would be Schilling, who is battling with the driver that is 1 lap down. That's going to be King.
There is that battle between the 69 and the 89. Technically would be a battle if both of them are on the lead lap, as they're both 6th and 7th, Schilling in 6th, King in 7th. It would technically be a battle, but it might be because King got the wall and into the 69.
Yeah, and they might do it again, as now Schilling is going to be gifted that position, and Brandon King's just going to say, hey, okay, you take it, go on, don't want to ruin your race. As that really, I mean, that's the type of battling that you expect here at Bristol. It's so small, and what just a contact with the wall can put you into someone else without you even really trying to do anything wrong. As they continue to battle, something else for us to watch out for. We have had lap cars go into the pits, try to get some new tires, and getting back out there on track. So, got to be careful of the drivers with the better tires that are trying to make some moves as Stipe back on track, able to pass by Tom Bourne.
Stipe up in the 12th spot right now, 26 laps down, so he might be able to maintain that spot going forward. He's 10 laps behind Shane Terrian. He's 19 ahead of Mike Tellier. Schilling gets the wall again, and that's going to allow Bronson Stafford just go on right by him. Schilling a good night. It's a 6th place, but he's been fighting an ill-handling race car pretty much all since the drop of the original green flag. As we're inside 60 laps to go, Sam. Looking at it, Bronson Stafford is on lap 40 of this green flag run. Can he make it to the end?
I think the real question, fuel-wise, I think he can make it to the end. Tire-wise, though, I think that's going to be the biggest issue for these drivers. I don't know if really they feel comfortable with the tires that they have to make it to the end. I think Bronson might feel good, but with the way that he's been trying to cut through traffic, he's lost time. He had over a 4-second lead over Tom Bourne. That has almost been cut in half. It's now 2.4 seconds is the difference between first and second place.
Cut even further. It's now 2.2 seconds, now 2.1 as Bourne is picking up the time. But with it's really because of the lap traffic that he's been having to deal with.
He has to evade. Daly gets into the wall, and Bourne goes up to the inside-outside wall. Huge contact for our leader.
Bronson Stafford involved with the 15 of Travis Daly, and oh my goodness, this has changed everything.
Daly, after coming out of the pits, spins out in front of our leader, causing him to have to evade. And was that a self-spin? That was an odd way for him to come out. That looked very sketchy to see.
Well, let's take a look at it. It's brought us under our 9th caution of the night. Right here in front of our leader, Bronson Stafford. You watch him here on the exit of turn 2. Hopefully this gives us a good angle.
He got loose and then came back and overcorrected. But that was an odd way to come out onto the track after just coming into the pits.
Yeah, I had it on Bronson. Let's look from Daly's perspective here as when he was coming out of the pits. Okay, first off, he was sideways in turn 1. And then brought it down on the apron. He hit the commitment line and then had to drive through it and then got it back on the racing surface. Tried to speed up, I guess, and yeah, just spun it out. And Stafford's like, trying to avoid it. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, Stafford, I mean, he was the real innocent one. Had to really go down low, hit the inside wall, came back up, almost hit Stipe. I think he might have netcode hit him. And hard contact for the 61. That was looking, if that incident didn't happen, looking to be one of the favorites to win today's race. And with that damage, that kind of gifts it now to all the other drivers of Munsell, Bourne, and also you can throw Phillip Scott now into the mix of possibly winning this race. And when this caution came out, all these drivers are good to make it to the end, fuel-wise and tire-wise. Now it's the question of, do you have enough tires?
We're going to have 6 cars, or 7 if you include the lucky dog Brandon King here under this yellow. Munsell came out first. He's going to be the leader. What a rebound it would have been for him. Getting caught up in a wreck earlier. You won stage 1 prior to that, and now to be setting up for a potential win if the cards play out right for you. It's going to be Munsell, Tom Bourne, Robert Kenny up there in 3rd with no front end. Phillip Scott 4th, Derek Schilling 5th, and then Bronson Stafford and Brandon King to round out the lead lap machines. Actually, no, I think King may have been 2 laps down, so it'll be...
Yeah, King just got a lap down. He was going to become the lucky dog with that caution, but he was involved and made contact, so he would not get the waiver on. That's actually going to be going to Evan Coleman in the 51 machine, I believe.
Really interesting to see. Sam, it's down to the nitty-gritty. It sounds like a lot at any other track. 50 laps to go. You think it's a lot of time. Not in Thunder Valley. It's gonna go by really quick if everything even also stays green, because we're gonna go green with exactly 50 to go.
Yeah, and this is honestly going to be taking out a lot of machines. Bronson Stafford has gotten repairs done and is back on track. Going to be starting back in 5th place. I think right now, Luminary, they talked about it. Their goal, I think, for the rest of the season, try to help out Robert Kenny the best that they can, help him get the win to get in, or at least points-wise, find himself in. But this is going to be a hard-fought battle with Phillip Scott and the way that he's shown that he's got pace here. For the first about 40 laps of these tires, it's going to be 50 laps to go when we go green again, or less than 50. So these drivers are going to have to deal with trying to hold off a lot of speed from behind. Green flag out in the air. Justin Munsell is going to be leading the charge. And we'll see if Tom Bourne, Robert Kenny, or even Phillip Scott can make a charge for the lead.
Tom Bourne clear into 2nd. I think Munsell got the wall into 2, because it's going to make it a really big hornet's nest here at the front. Tom Bourne back to the lead. Munsell gets the wall again and checks up Phillip Scott, and it's going to be just checking everyone up, something up on the 98.
Yeah, he got into the wall again. Also, I think Phillip Scott might have gotten a piece of that 98 machine on the front stretch. As they come back through, Tom Bourne leading the way with Robert Kenny in second place. Phillip Scott going to be in third as Munsell trying to hold off, but it's going to be the lap machine of Mike Tellier with no hood, no front bumper, that's making a charge, trying to unlap himself. At least give a lap back out of the 45 that he's down.
You gotta love the competition out of Mike Tellier. He's 13th. Nowhere close to contending for the win, and still has a lot of speed while he's Richard Bettying it around this racetrack. Robert Kenny, I think, got the wall there on the backstretch. On the backstretch. It's going to allow Phillip Scott to creep back into the picture here. Man, watching Phillip Scott here, he is a definite contender tonight. Inside 50 to go. If he gets around Robert Kenny, he's gonna have something to say to Tom Bourne.
Like I said, he's very quick for the first 40 laps, but this is a 50-lap run. Tom Bourne, he was able to hold close to the 8, and then he started to watch Phillip Scott make it his caution.
Oh, he turns Robert Kenny.
Kenny drifted up slightly, no yellow, he stayed green as the 8 and the 34 make contact, and Tom Bourne starts running away from this thing.
Oh, and that's just going to pretty much, if barring any more yellows, that's going to hand Tom Bourne the win. The battle for second between these two, it has made it a massive gap. 7.5 second lead now, continuing to grow between the 54, between the 54 and the 34. Surprised we didn't get a yellow, but I get it why it didn't, because Robert Kenny did not get completely sideways on the racetrack. Now Phillip Scott, he's going to bounce back here, try and get around the 34 again.
Yeah, and Phillip Scott going to be able to make it possibly as they're still side by side once again. And even with the carnage of them getting into one another, it now brings Bronson Stafford, who has been low on power, it looks like, for that 61 machine. He's slowly creeping up to possibly turn this into a 3-course battle for second place as Tom Bourne, an 8.7 second lead as Schilling as well as Dally get mixed up with it around our leader.
Oh, really, for these guys to get back into the picture, another yellow's going to have to come out for them to try and creep back in. 5 cars on the lead lap. Bronson Stafford and Munsell are at the tail end of it. This is really Tom Bourne's race to lose at this point. To go back-to-back after winning Pocono last week would be a dream for him after last week being his first win of the season. It's still a little bit of time left to go. 39 laps to go, and he's got a beautiful 8.7 second lead.
We talked early about after stage 2 how bad luck had been striking our stage winners. Tom was involved with some bad luck at the start of once we were done with stage 2 where he got some front end damage. But ever since then, he's just been hitting his marks, running so well. He's running about 3/10 faster than the rest of the field. The next closest driver around him, it would be Robert Kenny, who's running similar lap times, but he's almost 10 seconds back. Tom Bourne is about to lap the whole entire field based on that carnage for the battle for second place between Scott and Kenny.
Wouldn't that be something? It's something we have not seen this season, a leader lapping the entire field, and it's due to the fact that, believe it or not, unless you want to count Dover as the short track, this is the first short track race of this season here in the Clutch Drop Cup Series. We've been everywhere. Intermediates, mile-and-a-half cookie cutters, super speedways, road courses. Really haven't seen much short track racing this year, so this is a bit of our first exposure to it this year. Got one more in Richmond in 2 weeks, so still not done with this just rough kind of racing as Tom Bourne continues to log laps away and just pulling away from Phillip Scott, continuing to do so. Now the lead is at 9.5 seconds.
Yeah, and Justin Munsell going back to 1 lap down. Bronson Stafford, he's around some lap traffic that almost makes contact between himself and Schilling, as Schilling really not having the day that he's been wanting to have. Just a struggle since we got done with stage 2.
Bourne got the wall there in 1 and 2. Not like it's going to hurt him all that much as he's going to clear the 69 of Schilling. You say he hasn't had the day he's wanted, and he's running in 6th place. That's a quote and a half to not have the day you've wanted and then end up in 6th place 2 laps down.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where Derek Schilling looked so quick during stage 2, and ever since then, it's just been a lot of bad luck of him being involved with wrecks and other things that have popped up for the 69 machine, but a top 10 finish. It was a smaller field that we had here today. 20 cars have shown up, but really we'll be honored to see if half of them are able to finish this race, as Tom Bourne is now caught up to Brandon King, able to possibly make this pass off the exit of 2, and will do so. And now he's got 4th place Bronson Stafford in front of him, about to leave us with 3 cars on the lead lap.
Robert Kenny would be the next one, as Kenny's going to maybe make it a battle for second before long with the Phillip Scott machine. As Tom Bourne's going to likely put the 61 a lap down. The remaining battle is going to be who's going to get second and third, and we'll talk to at the end of the race. 28 laps to go. Tom Bourne in full control. Shane Terrian, he's still off the racetrack with that blown engine. That's allowed Mike Tellier to move up to the 12th position here tonight in Bristol, as Tom Bourne, man, just needs to keep it clean. He needs to keep it clean.
Yeah, and right now we're seeing it right now with Tom Bourne is trying to get by his teammate Bronson Stafford, and Stafford's really not just, usually when you're around a teammate, they just gift it to you, and now it's going to put him in precarious situation here with Matthew Rodriguez, and that's just some, you'd think the teammates would play a little bit nicer, but using the lap machine as a pick car, and now we're seeing Tom Bourne using up his tires, and with the fact that we've seen so many times Tom coming into the pits, I think he's maybe has a set left to work with, as Bronson finally might be giving this position to our leader as he comes back thinking about a crossover move, but that was a lot longer of a pass than what I think we were expecting to see between these teammates.
Robert Kenny has gotten around Phillip Scott for the second position, so Robert Kenny, he may not get the win, but it's going to be a huge points night for him. A couple cars ahead of him points did not show up tonight, Landon Allers being one of them, so Robert Kenny is going to be really poised going into Texas next week to try and make a push to get into the top 12 and point his way in, giving 5 luminary drivers into the playoffs, joining his teammates Tom Bourne, Justin Munsell, Bronson Stafford, and Shane Terry.
Yeah, with the day that we've been seeing Kenny have, I mean, with him, if he finishes in second place with all the solid runs that he's had with these stages, it should put him around 14th, 13th position going into these final 2 races of the regular season and giving him a chance to point his way through. And, that's such a great opportunity for himself to have this run and possibly run down a chance to point his way into the playoffs, because Kenny's been consistent. Sure, he hasn't gotten a win yet, but he has been consistently in our top 5 almost every single race, it seems like.
As he continues the log laps in second, Phillip Scott likely going to lose a lap here to Tom Bourne. That would leave us with 2. I don't know if Bourne's going to be able to get to Kenny, so we can't have the spectacle of having everyone fall the lap down except for the race leader. But what a dominant night it's been. It's been a dominant season for Luminary. Just look at the performances they have had this year. When you look at Tellier and King, they have 4 wins, and then Terrian, Bourne, Munsell, and Stafford, it's at 5 wins right now. It's likely to be 6 wins between the Luminary drivers this season. Of course, Garrett Powell, he has 3 of those wins earlier on in the year, of course, opting out, like we mentioned at the top of the broadcast. But just, it shows you the dominance that Luminary has had since joining on in Dover.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon King as well as Garrett Powell, only ones that have been able to get a win besides all the Luminary guys since they joined up with the league. As we're coming and inching to 10 laps to go, Tom's getting closer and closer to Phillip Scott. I talked about how Scott's good for the first about 40 laps. It looks like this time around, with the contact and the damage, he's only been able to run well for the first 30 laps of a run, and he has really dropped off the last 8 laps, and soon to be in the clutches of our leader, leaving us with the possibility of only 2 drivers left on the lead lap.
And it would be a pair of Luminary guys finishing 1-2, something we've been very accustomed to this season. Of course, the 3-horse battle at the end of the race last week at Pocono that got Tom his first win of the year, beating his teammate Shane Terrian by, 2300ths of a second at the end of that race at Pocono. Scott gets the ball there.
Kenny almost involved with the wreck as Derek Schilling gets out of shape now and almost took out the 34 machine and others involved, as it was basically a 4-horse race battling for 6th position. And these drivers, yes, they might be multiple laps down, but the race is coming to an end and they're still running hard.
Schilling is at one point he's led a lap, I believe, tonight by not pitting under a caution period. So he's been as high as first, but he's fallen all the way back to 8th. Could potentially fall to 9th. We'll have to wait and see. 11 laps to go. Tom Bourne right on the door of Phillip Scott as we ride on board.
Yeah, coming to 10 laps to go. Tom Bourne able to duck it onto the inside. See if he can make the pass here. If Scott's going to just hold on, it brushes the wall, and that's going to be giving the 8 machine, the first car, 1 lap down in 3rd place.
It's likely where he's going to stay because Bronson Stafford's 5 seconds behind Phillip Scott. So there you're looking at your 1 and 3rd place finishers. Robert Kenny about 3 seconds ahead of Tom Bourne. Here's Tom just trying to continue to hit his marks. He's dealing with the lap traffic. He's running up here on Dylan Stipe to put him 27 laps down. Tom,
this is nerve-wracking.
He's got to keep it clean for 8 laps.
Yeah, no, this is terrifying to see, as Tom Bourne has a total of 6 lap cars in front of him that he either can just follow and wait, or he can charge through, which he's going with to go through this field, which this is going to be, yes, he's faster than these cars, but it's a double-sided sword, really, where you are putting yourself in danger by getting this close until you're King almost making contact.
It's just ahead of him here. He's going to put Munsell a 2nd lap down here, and King's around in front of him, and it's going to bring the yellow out.
Giving Phillip Scott the lucky dog. He can get some tires if he's got them. And just like that, this race is not over.
Brandon King, you saw it there off the nose of Mike Tellier. He didn't spin all the way around. So, but the iRacing officials still put the yellow out. And I don't know if this is going to help Phillip Scott, because he's a lucky dog. Doesn't he have to start tail end?
I believe he has to start at the tail end of where he's... I think it might put him 4th or 5th on where the driver's going to be running. I don't think it's going to be putting him exactly all the way at the end, but we'll see. But Phillip Scott, if he can get fresher tires in the rest of the field, that's going to be helping him greatly. Bronson Stafford, I know he probably doesn't want to do that, but he could go with a wave around, put himself back on the lead lap, just in case another late caution comes out. But the timing of this caution, this could be putting us in a green-white checkered attempt here for these drivers.
It's going to be close. I think it will, because when they come around, it'll be 3 to go. I've just noticed with the pacing, it hasn't really taken long to go back to green, but it's just going to be enough to put us into overtime tonight here at Bristol. Man, 10 cautions tonight. Got to double digits, so I guess that's a win in of itself here at Bristol to only have 10 cautions, as we're more accustomed to seeing maybe 14, 15. So, oh my goodness. Sam, I thought we were getting ready to call a victory for Tom Bourne, but he's not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of saw that coming. When he came up to so many cars that were battling hard and had bumping against one another, it was going to be a scary situation as a leader, because you know you're faster than the cars in front of you, but that kind of hesitation of, do I want to cut through this when they could be spinning out in front of me at any moment like they just did in front of Bourne? It's a nerve-wracking situation to put yourself through, and somehow that 54 machine was able to hold off and wait as we are going for a green-white checkered attempt. They're going to be extending it. This is our first of possibly 2 attempts that the drivers are get to have.
Robert Kenny is going to wheel his way up here to his teammate. Man, I know we were talking about how Kenny has an opportunity to just point his way in. Now he's in a spot where he can win and get in. You got to think, what's going on in the head of Tom Bourne? Do you go for the win and get your win number 2, or do you help your teammate by trying to hold off any other would-be challengers? There's only one, and it's Phillip Scott. I don't know. This is gonna be a tough call.
Both of them did not have a set, so they did not come into the pits. So these drivers still going to be battling on. Also, Phillip Scott, like you said, since he got the lucky dog, he's going to be starting at the end of the line. So he's got to deal and try to push his way through all this traffic, hoping for a second attempt at a green-white checkered, hopefully to put himself back in a shot at Tom Bourne and Robert Kenny. But right now, Kenny, as well as Bourne, looked to be extremely quick. The only issue is Kenny was not able to come in and get those repairs done after the contact between himself and Phillip Scott. So Bourne's looking like he's in the best position to get the win here. but you never know what could happen. The bump and run, still always a possibility, even if your teammates, I mean, Kenny knows that Bourne is locked in, so he can make any move that he wants to know that he's got a chance to be into the playoffs.
Green, white, checkered. Green flag back in the air. King drops out of the line, side by side. Bourne chose the inside line for this race start, and that's going to allow Robert Kenny to clear into first.
It looked like there was some wheel spin, also a little bit of blinking for Bourne, so he was just trying to get out of the way there. But going away, it's going to be Robert Kenny pulling away from the field. White flag in the air, and Kenny is looking great to be getting a win.
Robert Kenny onto the backstretch here. Tom Bourne 5/10 back with the lap machine of Munsell between them. Robert Kenny's finally done it. It took a green-white checkered, but he's finally going to win here in the Clutch Drop Cup Series. Win number 1, and he's into the playoffs, the final Luminary driver to get in.
300 laps is a lot to deal with, and Kenny, he might have been involved in the first 3 accidents, but got the repairs done, got exactly what was needed to finally get its damage repaired, have a fast enough car, and get the win here at Bristol, and locking himself into the playoffs. All the Luminary drivers officially now locked in, and the rest of the field, they've got to be worried about who's going to win the championship.
5 Luminary drivers, nearly half the field for the playoffs, are now in, as Robert Kenny got a congratulatory bump from Tom Bourne. Run for Bourne, though. He had the win in his grasp, but the caution came out, and it's going to end up with him getting second. We'll talk to him in a bit as Robert Kenny burns it down here. There's Tom right there, hanging with his teammate there in the 34. Careful, Kenny, don't run into him. Add more damage to the car than you already have that the team has to pay for. So, man, what a drive for Robert Kenny. He has had an up and down season, and he's been running, getting top 10s here and there. Was looking like he's just going to have to point his way in. And now he doesn't even have to worry about that.
He's gotten, I think, about 2, maybe 3 finishing third that many times. Whenever Luminary goes 1, 2, 3, and so he's just been a little bit off almost every week, but finally found the consistency and found the timing. I mean, it was lucky to see that Tom Bourne spun his tires on that restart that gave the 34 room to just pull away. And I think Bourne thought, hey, I'll be on the inside, I'll get the start that I need and pull away, and it just did not take off the way that he wanted. They were on 51 lap old tires, and the older the tires are, the possibility of spinning them.
Robert Kenny and Tom Bourne continue to celebrate here on the front straightaway here at Bristol. Bring up your full finishing results here tonight from the Bristol Motor Speedway, Thunder Valley. Robert Kenny getting the win. Tom Bourne second as he does his Polish victory lap. Phillip Scott, he gets a third place finish. Going to be a great points day for the number 8. And that was it for lead lap cars, Sam. Bronson Stafford 1 lap down in 4th. Munsell 2 laps down in 5th. Evan Coleman 3 laps down in 6th. Derek Schilling and Brandon King, 7th and 8th, respectively, 4 laps down. Matt Rod, 5 laps down in 9th, and then Travis Daly down in 10th, 15 laps down in the number 15.
Oh, a crazy day for all of these drivers as the rest of the field was not able to finish out this race. I mean, that is now Kenny with this win, the 7th driver with the win to be locked into the playoffs. There's 5 spots open, and only 2 if we get anyone that is not officially locked in already. If they win those races, those are 2 opportunities to officially lock yourself in, but 5 spots to be possibly pointed into the playoffs. Now the tension is a lot higher, especially since Kenny was outside of the top 12. He wasn't pointed in. Even if he finished second, he wasn't going to be pointed in. But with this win, it pushes someone out, and there was a lot of shuffling that was about to go down.
Kenny continues to burn it down here at Bristol. We welcome you to the post-race wind down here on the Flatout Racing Network. Carlos Zimmerman, Sam Dyer here tonight at Bristol. Incredible race. Robert Kenny finally getting the monkey off the back and getting a win here tonight. We'll talk to him in a little bit. Let's talk to Phillip Scott, our third place finisher. Hey, Phillip. This is Carlos and Sam in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yeah, 10-4.
What a drive for you. You had that little incident up there in at the that brought out our 9th, didn't bring out a caution, but it took you out of the it took you out of contention. But going a lap down to the leader too, but then you got the lucky dog. Unfortunately, you had to start tail end, and it ended up setting you back. But still, a third place finish tonight. It benefits you points wise. Just give me your thoughts.
Yeah, so I'm just very happy that I had my first like pretty good race in a while. Like I always have really bad luck in the series for some reason or another. Even whenever I have speed or don't, and I'm just glad I was able to survive because I knew like in practice I was toying with this really loose setup, and I was just I was starting to I had second thoughts about it because I'm like, oh man, this I feel like because I saw everybody in practice really pushing their cars and spinning. I'm like, oh man, so I just played it safe, ran this me and Mike ran this pretty tight setup, and it worked out really well for full race. Yeah, as the runs went on and on, I realized that I was saving a little extra tire than I should. Like I could have had an extra set for the end, but I was So what happened was, like I think it was like before the end of stage 2 or something. Or in the middle of stage 2, I pit, and I saw my right front was only at 93. So I'm like, oh, I probably should have not taken that set. So maybe if I had an extra set, but so yeah, just over the course of the race, I just got more and more confident and got a feel for the track, and made a lot of moves and passes like on the inside. It was a lot of fun passing on the inside. You'd like slide and then correct yourself and then just put your foot to the gas. So what happened with me in the 34, I just tried getting a run around the outside on him. I think we just got a little too close, and then I clipped him, and I'm shocked that didn't bring out a caution, but we talked it over good. Obviously, he's good because he won. But yeah, that was just hard short track racing, and I'm really happy to get a lot of good points today for the first time in a while and get some security going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, especially just a top 3 finish for yourself helps you a ton points wise. You are one of the drivers, you're second in coming into this race. Actually, you're second of the drivers that could point your way in. And with 2 races left, it kind of puts you in a much better spot to make it into the playoffs. We saw here today you had one of the fastest cars for the first 30 laps, and it seemed like your tires would drop off. Did you feel like you had one of the fastest cars there at the end if you had an extra set of tires to work with?
Yeah. I feel like I got some damage after that wreck because I noticed I was getting way tighter than normal, only like 10 laps into the run. So something happened. I don't know. Maybe I was just overdriving after that, but to try to save time. But I feel like if that hadn't happened, I feel like I would have had a pretty good run. So what happened on that? So you mentioned dropping off. So I was noticing that my fuel was like really close. I was hoping it would go green for the rest of it. So like I was like really close up there in P2, and then I fell back at the start of stage 3 after 30 laps. I mainly just did that on purpose. I started just roll through the center, just trail brake and stuff because I wanted to save fuel because I knew it was going to be tight. And I was like, these guys are pushing a little too hard. I think that might run out of fuel. Then a yellow came out, so that threw that plan out of the window. But I really do feel like I had a pretty good shot at the win. But I'm very happy with the third place. The first top 5, only my second top 5 of the season. Actually, my first was at the Glen. So yeah, really now I can have some security and really start focusing on the tracks that are in the playoffs.
It certainly is a great time to start hitting your mark and getting that momentum. We've got 2 more races left here in the regular season. We've got Texas and Richmond. Another short track at Richmond. It gives you feels like after the showing you had here today, you might have a good shot there.
Yeah, there's a chance. I haven't done Richmond on iRacing in a while, so we'll see how it goes, how I practice and everything. I've never felt as confident in Richmond as I am at other short tracks like Bristol, of course, and Iowa. But Texas, Texas isn't that good in real life, but I really love racing Texas on iRacing, even the new configuration. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, man. And points-wise, this is going to drop you to 9th with Robert Kenny getting the win tonight and putting him onto the playoff grid as he was out of the cutoff. But still, like you said, really good, benefiting you tonight for the points going forward for these final 2 races. But before we let you go, Phillip, anybody you want to give a shout-out to?
Yeah, is it fine if I promote a different league?
It's your time to shine, man.
All right. Yeah, of course, on my hood, the league that me and Mike Telly are in, Total Nonstop Racing. We just finished our ARCA season, and we're switching cars to Xfinity for the next season, which will be starting in January and run through the spring, about April or May or something like that. And it'll be a lot of fun. We go to all sorts of different tracks. And also I'm starting my own touring car series because I do like road courses a lot, and I thought that'd be fun to just start a little touring car series, like fixed setup or something. So with sprint races. So if you guys want to check out Total Nonstop Racing, look us up on iRacing.
Alrighty, that was your 3rd place finisher, Phillip Scott. A great run tonight, his best finish since Watkins Glen. See how everything plays out for you, man, in Texas and Richmond. Have a good night. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
All right, we'll bring up our 2nd place finisher, Tom Bourne. Hey, Tom, this is Carlos and Sam in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
I know we talked to you at the stage break that when you won stage 2, if back-to-back was in the cards. It was until lap 296. The caution flying right in front of you with the 89, and then Robert Kenny just drove away there on that restart. 2nd place for you tonight after winning at Pocono last week. I'm sure it's not as great as a win, but in a sense, it's a team win tonight.
Yeah, and if anybody could have won it from me, I would have wanted it to be Bob. He's had some struggles throughout the season, but when he actually performs and everything, he's right up there with us. And he was the missing piece that was to put all 5 cars into the chase, and we did that tonight. Would I have loved to win? Absolutely. I know it kind of looked that way when I had all but myself and Bob a lap down. But people just don't know how to race, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that. I was saying it on the broadcast when you were coming up to that pack of lap traffic that it was kind of looking precarious and kind of a double-sided sword of the fact of you want to get up through that traffic as quick as possible because you know you're faster than them, so you're out of that trouble, but still kind of lingering and waiting to see what would happen while you're there. But on that restart of the green-white checkered, it looked like you had the car to beat, but then you spun those tires. Was there anything else you possibly could have done to try to run down Bob there?
With what the tires were and Justin getting by me back on the outside, I wasn't going to be able to get them. They're 50-lap-old tires on the bottom line just doesn't work. But it is what it is. I spun the tires. It happens. I'm not upset with finishing 2nd place. Especially after me getting the win last week. I can't be more happy with how this team has really performed in the past 2 weeks, and the setup building was great. The first stage was it was scary because I'm like, oh no, this better not be an auto club thing, and it wasn't. So we move on to Texas next week and see what goes on.
Yeah, I mean, with the whole team now locked into playoffs with these final 2 races, it seems like the gloves are now off between everyone out here. It's no longer play nice. It's more of who can get those wins at the end. How are you feeling about these next 2 races at Texas and Richmond?
Texas has always been a good track to me. Sam, I know you've broadcasted a couple races that I've raced at Texas, and I've always performed there. Richmond, I have no idea. I'm just gonna take a shot at it, but we'll see what happens. I'm more focused on the chase now that everybody's locked in, and focused on setup building for 3-4 weeks down the road.
Alrighty, Tom. Again, 2nd place run for you tonight. Texas next week, and then of course Richmond. You're locked in. You got a lot of momentum on your side, just as a team, as a whole team. the momentum is there. So we'll see how the next 2 weeks play out. But before we let you go, and we'll get ready to talk to your teammate, Robert Kenny, on the win. Anybody want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, like always, Luminary Racing, you guys for putting on the amazing broadcast you do. G Fuel, Fire News, FRN. I'm trying to think. Hold on. It's been a long night.
I understand.
Podcast about things on the car. Sam, if you want to elaborate a little more on that, you can. But whatchamacallit, yeah, great podcast by some great people. So my friend Sydney always watching. She's always supporting me, and just thanks everybody for watching every week. And I hope we can put on a show for you every week, like we did these past couple weeks.
Alrighty. Once again, Tom Bourne, second place finish tonight. We'll see you in Fort Worth next week. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys. You too.
And now time to talk to the man of the hour, Robert Kenny. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Wow. With on their last restart, prior to the green white checkered, it looked like all was lost whenever you and Phillip Scott got together there, and Tom had a 12-second lead, but then the yellow came out with just under 5 laps to go, and it opened the door, and then you just drove away on the restart. I know I'm running basically a play-by-play. I know that's my job, but you were already out there watching it happen, but you finally got the monkey off the back. 10 plus races, and now you're into the playoffs, joining your other teammates, giving it a full Luminary field in the playoffs. How do you feel?
It kind of unbelievable. It still hasn't really sunk in that I won at Bristol, one of the tracks I despise. But I guess apparently I didn't have a nose the entire race, and I didn't find that out until halfway through. So it's just, I guess, not having a nose let the car turn more somehow, because all through practice, whatever practice was, because it was just everybody trying to figure out their sets for the last minute adjustments, my car it would either snap loose or it just wouldn't rotate. It was something that Bronson, the guy who does our setups, he couldn't figure it out for me, because I drive just that little bit different than everybody else. I always like a tighter car. It always seemed whenever there was a long green flag run, I would give up the spots on the restart, but over time I would slowly gain them back and just. And I'm still surprised that that incident between me and the 8 wasn't a caution, because I was sideways in front of the entire field.
Yeah, we were even up in the booth. We were shocked that didn't bring out a caution, and it gave Tom such a huge lead that we for sure thought it was over. But yeah, no, you didn't have a bumper all race long. You were involved in so many incidents in the start of the half of the field. Did you think that your race was done after that first caution, after how hard that hit was?
Yes and no. To start the race, I didn't want to be a part of this. I didn't even want to turn a lap, because I couldn't figure the track out at all. But I decided I needed the points to even have a chance to get to the playoffs, so I'll just run it and see what happens. Because usually, at least for me at Bristol, it's either I survive it and get roughly a top 10, or I get destroyed beyond repair and I'm like, fine, I can go on with my life. It's just Bristol. I don't care. But it was just, once those green flag runs came and people started going laps and laps down, and I was staying on the lead lap, I was like, okay, better and better finishing spot, better points, more than I expected. Still gotta do well at the next 2 races, but it's just, it's still all sinking in. I still don't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're still trying to process it, but on that final restart, green white checkered attempt, it was just between you and Tom. What was going through your mind before that green flag waved?
It was, don't full throttle it, because you'll spin the tires horribly, which I still spun them a bit, and hope that my teammate spins his tires so it gives me a chance, because I knew everybody in the field was better than me on a short run. But it was the old tires that that gave me the win. I feel bad for Tom because having a 12-second lead with 7 laps to go at Bristol is unheard of. I know it kills him that he lost it. I know it kills the rest of my teammates that were in the lead and got taken out by happenstance or trying to drive back through the field after getting a penalty. It just, I was the last one to win in the season for the team, and I was the last person to even have a chance to win at Bristol. It just, I'm happy. I'm happy I don't have to worry about points anymore.
And,
Yeah, it certainly was.
Yeah, understandably so, because now, unfortunately, you push the grid down, and I'm sure you don't care about that, but now it opens the door. It pushes a driver out of that 12th spot. I believe that was Belmonte that falls out of that 12th spot. Might be wrong on that. I'll have to look back. But either way, a win. You're in the playoffs now. We go to Texas next week. I asked Tom tonight at stage 2 if back-to-back was in the cards. Is back-to-back in the cards for you going to Texas?
Oh, I don't think so. Tom's really good at Texas. Bronson makes really good setups for the team, so really, it's not to badmouth the other teams because they are good drivers. They do bring good setups, but ever since we've come into the league, we've kind of shuffled everybody down the pecking order. But honestly, it could be anybody. But again, I don't think it's me. I'll probably just run top 10, top 5 maybe. Because there are definitely, like, even on our team, there are people better than me at driving.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, the competition certainly is there between everyone on your team and a few drivers outside trying to look in. Robert, a very solid day, and I know it didn't start the way you wanted it to, but it certainly finished with the best of the best way it possibly could have for yourself. Before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shoutouts.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for broadcasting it, the league admins for putting the league on, Bronson for making setups every week for us, and sponsors on the card of Sim Speed Shop. Tom ran his podcast about things tonight. I believe Shane is still running Evil Controllers, and then all of our sponsors all together. They're just great.
Alrighty, Robert, a great run for you tonight. Victory number 1. See if you can get any more going forward, but you're in the playoffs, man. Congratulations. We'll see you at Texas next week.
Thank you very much. See you guys next week.
Woo! Wait, marathon is over, Sam. One of our longest races of the year, and ended up finishing up just under 2 hours. So a really impressive run out of these drivers. 10 cautions tonight, so we did break the double-digit mark, but still, what a win for Robert Kenny.
Yeah, it certainly was an amazing win for himself. Like we said, he was caught up in the first couple of cautions that then he had to try to get repairs done, finally was figuring out the car. And here at Bristol, you can have no front bumper, no rear bumper. As long as the engine is working and those tires can still turn, you've got an opportunity. That's exactly what Kenny showed us here today, which was wild to see for sure. This race, completely unknown. I mean, the leaders, that's the one thing about Bristol is that when you're leading the race, you're really not safe there. As we saw with Tom almost being taken out there late in the run, we also saw ourselves with Bronson Stafford, who looked like he was in a winning potential chance, being caught up in another accident.
But at the end of the day, it hands the win to Robert Kenny, the final luminary driver, joining Tom Bourne, Bronson Stafford, Justin Munsell, and Shane Terrian in the playoffs. And I'll also throw in Mike Tellier, Brandon King. They're going to be in the fight as well. 7 drivers officially locked in. 5 spots remain. And we go to Texas next week. Sam, real quick before we sign off, what's Texas going to look like?
Texas is going to be a lot more interesting for these drivers. 1 and 2, different from 3 and 4. A lot of these drivers are going to be focusing on how can they make the passes through corners 1 and 2, as 3 and 4 is going to be wide open, trying to carry that momentum. I think it's going to be a lot of the drivers trying to figure out how to catch and possibly stop Luminary before they start sweeping the rest of the regular season and before we get into playoffs. The drivers that are right on the bubble, like you said, Belmonte got knocked out. He actually would have pointed his way into the top 12 if we didn't see Robert Kenny winning here today. Now he's got to fight once again to try to point his way into the top. I think today, a massive win for Phillip Scott. Yes, he didn't win the race, but points-wise, putting him even closer and in a much better position to point his way into our top 12 to making it into Texas.
It's going to be a wild run to the end of this regular season. 2 races remain. Next Sunday, same time, same great channel, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, here on Flatout Racing Network. We're at the 1.5 mile track of Texas, and then we get an off week for Christmas, and then on January 3rd, New Year, first race of the new year. It's the last race of the regular season. We're at the Richmond International Raceway for race number 15 on the year. Sam, always a pleasure to be alongside of you in the booth, and we had a great show tonight.
It really was a great show, and it's always a pleasure to be up in the booth. Tom talked about the podcast about things on his car. He wanted me to touch on it. Podcast About Things is a podcast that Tom and I do. Just go on Anchor or Spotify or anywhere you want to watch podcasts. Look up Podcast About Things. You can hear us talking about our day-to-day life. But it's been awesome, Carlos, for sure, to be watching today. It was a wild one, and really a race where we got to see a lot of green flag racing, which is kind of rare to see at Bristol.
And we get 200 laps next week at Texas. Again, go check out podcasts about things on Anchor and Spotify, anywhere you like to listen to podcasts, and listen to our colleagues Tom Bourne and Sam Dyer bring it to you. Want to thank Matthew Rodriguez for all the work he does here at FRN, Seth Cole as well, and everyone that we're able to bring in here and just bring FRN to you into your homes, especially in the times that we are in. For Sam Dyer, I'm Carlos Zimmerman. Thanks so much for joining us here. Once again, Robert Kenny gets the win, first win of the season for him, and he's into the playoffs with all his luminary teammates. Good night from Bristol, Thunder Valley. We'll see you in Fort Worth next week. Have a good one, everybody.